Welcome to MELfeed.video. We are commencing a live web stream service via youtube.com from Melbourne, Australia. We currently conduct these streams mainly on Wednesday evenings, with other times to be added as more opportunities arise. Please visit our website at MELfeed.video for further information. This web video project presents old and new community TV programs. Please enjoy your stay with MELfeed.video.
Welcome to Migration Stories, a special edition of Nat Chat produced by Northern Access TV for Channel 31. And today my guest is Quashani Bard. Hello Quashani.
Thank you for having me, Richard.
Thank you so much for coming in to Channel 31. Now with Migration Stories we want to learn about Australians who've migrated here. And you've come from Zimbabwe.
Yes, I have.
Well, thank you for that. You're making us a richer country.
It's good to be here. It's been both a pleasure and a blessing being here, yes.
Interesting, because the circumstances of you migrating, what perhaps was the first time you heard that you were going to migrate to Australia, or was it just leaving Zimbabwe that your family talked about?
Okay. After I'd done the Year 12 equivalent, my parents were like, well, you know, where do you want to go for university? So I had choice. South Africa was on the list, so was America and the UK, and then there was Australia. Now, the process of elimination was, Mum wasn't happy with me going to South Africa. Dad wanted me in South Africa because that was going to be close to home and he could visit and drop in whenever he liked, as dads do. And I felt like everybody goes to America. I mean, it's on TV. I didn't think it was going to be something new. And the UK was too cold.
Yes, and it definitely is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I thought, Australia, the land down under.
What impressions did you have of Australia at that stage? I mean, maybe TV shows or anything else?
Yes, there was TV shows growing up. We had a lot of Australian TV programs.
Series and such?
Yeah, series like Round the Twist. Yeah, that was a big one. Skippy the Bush Kangaroo was one.
You get to see the bush side that way.
Yeah, so we got to see the bush side. Flying Doctors was another. So there was a bit of exposure there. And I remember at home, Dad had like a wall hanging and it had like a map of Australia. And I remember seeing Adelaide and going, oh, that's such a pretty name for a city.
These are the things that impress us anyway.
Yeah,
get your interest going. Yeah,
so, you know, that was how I came to that decision to come.
Was there not a good university in Zimbabwe, or?
Oh, there was. There was the University of Zimbabwe. But, you know, I was privileged enough to have parents that could afford to send me away. Yes. So that's how I came to being here.
Yeah. So you have the extra of studying in another country and in fact migrating here.
Yes, yes, and growing up my parents, especially my father, was huge on education. You know, my dad always used to say the one thing that no man can take from you is an education. You know, they can take your car away, they can take your wife, they can take your property, but an education is up here and you have that for life.
Brilliant.
So yeah, my parents always pushed for a good education.
And how large was your family in Zimbabwe?
I have 3 younger sisters, so I'm the first of 4 girls.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And they're still there, or do you think of them coming here, or? They
all came over, so I came to study in 2001 and I was here for about 3.5 years, and then when I finished, Mum came and Mum moved to country Victoria because she got some work there, and then Dad and my sisters came, and then they've been here
How
ever
wonderful.
since. Yeah,
you've got everyone here now.
Yes, yes.
How
so
excellent.
it's
Now, which
great.
city or town or were you living in Zimbabwe?
Harare. I was born in Harare,
The capital city. What's
yeah.
that like? Is that really like a metropolis? Or does it have shanty towns around the outside, or how would you compare it to another town that maybe our viewers have know something about?
It's an interesting question. I mean, growing up and even like in the textbooks when we did geography, we were always told there's like low density areas and there's high density areas.
Yes.
So the low density were less populated and they happen to be closer to the CBD. And as you go out of the city, it's more high density. I guess maybe that would be a way
Yes, that's a very excellent description.
Yeah, of
Thank
describing
you,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine what it would be like. And there would be centres outside of Harare as well that are active in certain different industries, would there? Or?
Yes, absolutely. And of course, amongst all that low and high, you've got the industrial areas,
yes.
which for some reason are always closer to the high density areas.
Yes.
I think that's because of, more population, more people for work and stuff. Yeah.
So how long ago was that you did migrate yourself?
2001.
Okay,
June.
so a dozen years ago.
Yeah.
And well, much has changed, I suppose, since you've come here. And
Yeah.
do you stay in contact with family there a little bit? And do you have an interest in Zimbabwe?
Always in my
Yes,
heart,
of course.
It's the motherland. It's where I'm from. You never forget. A tree never forgets its roots. So yes, I call Melbourne home, and Melbourne has been very welcoming, but Harare will always be my hometown.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I try to keep in touch with people at home, grandparents.
And a few good buddies and a few family.
Yeah,
well, that's
a few
excellent
family,
because the whole world comes to us here in Australia.
Yeah.
In the next segment, we'll find out what Koshani is up to in Melbourne.
Hi, I'm Bon Burgundy. This March commemorates 20 years of shaving to help the Leukemia Foundation beat blood cancer. To see how things have progressed, here's a look at the very first social media post. I swear it's true. You didn't need a password to log on, just some sticky tape. Oh, Bon, stop it. You keep shaving, Australia. Sticky tape.
Statistics show 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday. Help break the silence on child sexual assault. Go to bravehearts.org.au.
Thank you. Newsflash. I'm not wearing any pants.
Welcome back to Nat Chat, our special edition, Migration Stories, and today migrated from Zimbabwe about a dozen years ago, Koshani. And what are you up to in Melbourne these days?
What am I up to in Melbourne?
Well, you've graduated.
Yes, I long since graduated. It's another...
What was your qualification? What was your area that you went for?
Yes, I studied at Deakin and I did a Bachelor's of Commerce.
Wow.
I majored in financial planning and marketing, and then I did my honours in advertising.
Honours?
Yeah.
Wow, that's better than me and everyone here. And you got some work in that area?
Yes, I worked in advertising for a couple of years and then financial administration. Yeah.
Well, it's a very good skill to have. You can transfer to very many areas, and promotion and things like that.
Yes.
And what extracurricular activities do you enjoy? Other things that you do other than your work and study?
Other things that I do, well...
You've got a fashion sense, I can see.
Yes, there is a fashion sense. So I'm a singer-songwriter. I've coined a little something I call reg glue. So it's like reggae and blues. With a touch of soul on an acoustic tip and sometimes on a dancehall tip.
Music style with those elements all mixed in.
Yes.
Well, our viewers will be very curious to hear about it. So what's your performing group, or what's your name of your performing troupe?
Well, solo, it's Kwashani Bard. That is what I use for the music. And for the fashion stuff, it's House of Boho Chic. So I make signature style ear discs using Afro batik materials or felts, like the one that I'm wearing now.
Wow.
With
so
feathers.
You've made that,
yes, yeah.
that earring, yes?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And the insides are recycled materials, so I'm also, you know, doing my bit for the environment.
Okay.
Hand-painted zebra signature style dresses, yeah, tassels, hoops, the work.
And are there organisations involved in, you know, helping you market that, or is it kind of like you go to a market or something?
I've done markets and I've done something called Raw, which was a fantastic opportunity. So it's all these different artists come under the one roof and they showcase their art. So we're talking singer-songwriters, performers like dance, makeup artists, hair, photographers,
Raw,
and accessories
a group
designer.
called Raw, did you say?
Yeah, an organisation called Raw.
What do they do?
They get all these different talents under the one roof and they help them showcase their art form. Yeah, so I did that in September.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And where are they located? What suburb? Or they're everywhere, are they?
Well, it originally started in America and they've brought the idea here. And the one they had in September was the first one in Melbourne, but the first one officially in Australia was Brisbane.
So anyway, you're thriving with them helping and all those groups together.
Yeah. But you know, a solo artist can never get too much help.
So the singing as well as the fashion.
Yeah.
Any success so far? I mean, have you won any contests or?
Successes, it's been a pretty interesting year. I entered into something called Africa's Got Talent earlier this year that ran in May. So it was on the 25th of May and it was part of the Melbourne Africa Day festivities, which stretched across a week.
So we have Africa's Got Talent here in Melbourne.
Yes, Africa's Got Talent in Melbourne because there is talent from Africa in Melbourne.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic opportunity. I had the pleasure of being one of 10 finalists that got to sing, and they had 4 judges on the panel, you know, Denny Hines, Simon Rayner, Blair Stafford, and Chris from Northside Records.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a thrill.
Very substantial movers and shakers of the music industry.
Yes.
So you did well in that?
Yes, I did well in that.
And I guess what's happening with your, you know, home life and your day-to-day activities and networking and getting into community? What's happening there in your life here in Melbourne? Is it a welcoming place for your spread of activities in Melbourne?
Oh, wow. It's been such a blessing, Richard. I've had such really good opportunities as we speak. My creations are at the Frankston Arts Centre. So yeah, you know, that's yet another great opportunity spanning from the 11th of November to the 11th of January, so people that cruise through can check out the art and can buy stuff. Because one of the things that the boho chic is known for is fascinators, so I make fascinators.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so there's that opportunity.
I'm sure we'll see you at the Melbourne Cup, or at least the fascinators there.
Isn't that the dream? Isn't that the dream?
It's our dream.
Yeah.
What else do you like about Australia? I mean, something along the lines of, is it the beaches or is it the bush? And you know, you mentioned your mother lives in regional Victoria.
Well, she used to.
What's the natural side of things that you like here?
The natural side of things, you know, I love the idea of the beach. I don't get down there much. But what I really like about Melbourne is the fact that it's such a melting cultural pot.
Okay.
And a lot of inspiration comes from that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things I
We're
like
very
about
lucky
Melbourne.
with our centres, and Footscray and you know, the Thornbury Northcote areas and the St Kilda areas, and it's spreading right throughout.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back for another segment and maybe look into the future and what you can help us with in this country, some ideas, fresh ideas that you might have brought to us.
Okay.
Please come back soon.
Australia Day means a time for reflection in one way, where we're really lucky to live in such a country, and it's really an opportunity to connect with people who are really close to you and important in your life. I hope and wish for a society that truly respects everybody in every shape and form. On Australia Day, I'll be actually at the tennis, and I'll be sharing that with my friend. Doesn't get much better than that, really.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
20 years ago, people started shaving their heads to beat blood cancer. Today, I'm showing you how much has been sacrificed for the Leukemia Foundation's world's greatest shave. Don't act like you're not impressed. You keep shaving, Australia.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
Classifications let you know about the content of movies and computer games, so you can make informed choices. G tells you the content is suitable for general viewing and playing. PG means parental guidance is recommended, and the content may not be suitable for younger children. M says it's recommended for mature audiences over 15. MA 15 Plus indicates that legal restrictions apply, and the material is not suitable for those under 15. R18 Plus is restricted to 18 years and above. You can also find useful consumer advice next to the classification. Look out for these symbols on games, DVDs, advertising posters and movies. Please use these classifications to help you choose with confidence.
Go head on into the fast-paced world of roller sports.
Come on, keep up.
So tell us about your skating and your experience.
Inline Plus introduces you to the world of roller sports in all its forms.
We are actually going to catch up with 4 members of the Australian team.
Great place to skate because the surface is quite smooth.
So get your skates on.
Inline Plus.
Wednesday, 8:30 on MELfeed.video.
Welcome back. I'm here with Kwashani Bard, who's migrated here from Zimbabwe. So, what do you think Australia should do? What's the future that you see for Australia?
Wow.
What's our position in the world? What should we do?
What's the future? I guess I'd just narrow it down to just the music scene, really. We've got so much talent here in Melbourne. It'd be great if we could be getting more of that out you know.
Indeed, around the world,
Yeah,
with
around
all the
world.
different styles that can be here.
Yes, and that's really going to be truly reflective of Melbourne as we know it.
So kind of showing the rest of the world what Melbourne is.
Yeah.
Through the music.
A showcase through the music, yeah. Yeah.
And that would be a huge potential, I suppose.
I'd say it'd be a huge potential and a great opportunity, not only for the artists, but even for, you know, from a tourism perspective for Melbourne as a city.
People always say Australia and Melbourne's so far away, but it could be well worth coming then, hey?
It would be.
And any room for any more festivals, do you think, in this great country?
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon we need more, you know, reggae dancehall festivals.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't know that we have any now, that we don't have Ragamuffin.
No.
Yeah.
No, there isn't really a current big festival. There is the Blues Festival in Byron Bay Blues Festival.
Yeah.
And there's the Queenscliff Festival, which you could also call a Roots Festival. So many Roots festivals, but not enough reggae.
Yeah, not enough reggae. We need more of that reggae.
Maybe up in Cairns, I think Trop Fest. It's got a fair amount of reggae in it.
Cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one.
And so how is it you've become such a fan of reggae in Zimbabwe? Is it also a rich music scene in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I'm very passionate about reggae, but I'm passionate about music in general. So growing up, you know, my dad had lots of music. I'm talking, you know, we go all the way from, trying to pull some names, Deep Purple, ZZ Top, Jimi Hendrix. He had Bob Marley in there. Just the Commodores. There was lots of music. But I guess we could say I fell in love with reggae when I was 15. I went to boarding school, and every Friday last Friday of the month rather, they had a dance. So we'd go and we'd listen to reggae and dancehall, and that was the one day of the month that you knew you were really going to have like a really good time, you know.
Oh, I see.
And that's how I came into reggae and dancehall, and since then I've just been,
So it's a kind of music that comes with a culture as well, and you know, culture of dancing and sort of a soft feel to the, sort of a gentle feel at those clubs, hey?
Yes.
You can stand in the corner in the dark, or you can get up and dance. Is that what appealed to you so much, hey?
Yeah, well, the rhythm of it, you know, reggae is very sort of slow, sort of tip, and then dancehall is more upbeat. And I'm really into the dancing.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And you're doing toasting as well? Or?
Yes, I'm doing some toasting too. I perform around, you know, Melbourne clubs. I've worked with such, you know, selectors as Jessie I, who runs the Babylon Burning radio show.
A legendary
PBS.
show on our
legendary. So
sister radio station 3PBS.
Yes, that's right. So he has a night called More Fire under his banner, Chant Down Sound, and I've performed at that. He also does dancehall.
When is that on? Did you say Friday? Is it a regular thing?
More Fire is second Saturday of every month.
We need to know this.
At the Meerkat Cross Hotel.
Okay.
Yes.
Near the market.
Yes, near the market. And other selectors, you know, like Sister Itations, who does Pressure Drop at the Laundry. And that's second Saturdays, second month. Rather, so it's once every 2 months that she does that.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that sound system stuff, but every now and then I like to break it up because I also do like acoustic stuff. So I've performed at, you know, such events as Sisters for Sisters at the Toff in Town.
Oh, really? I remember that day. I went to that show. It was last year, yes?
Yes. Well, they've had like 7 episodes since it started.
So much women talent there.
Yes. So, yeah, that started up in 2011, and that's just been rolling on since.
So it's a rich environment for your music career?
Yes.
And what about travelling markets with the jewellery and the fashion?
I've done a few markets. I guess I'm still kind of warming up to the markets. But mostly I just sell online, so I've got an online space there, and you know, your typical Facebook page, and these days it's all sort of connected, so I've got a shopping cart on my Facebook page.
Oh, wow.
That links to the store, so...
It's very technical.
Yeah,
very advanced.
Yeah, so...
Well, congratulations on all of that.
Thank you, Richard.
Now, what's a kind of a family... You're all living in the same area, or you've now spread around a bit, hey?
No, I live in Kensington and my parents live on the other side of town.
So what happens, is there a regular sort of reunion? I remember when my background's Maltese, we came from Europe and we used to have family reunions on the beach. Is there anything like that happening in your family?
Oh yeah, we love our food.
Okay.
So typically if we've got like a birthday or something, we all just kind of go to Mum's house or my sister's house and everybody brings a dish. So, you know, for instance, you know, maybe Dad's doing the rice and I'm doing the meat, Mum's doing the salads, and my other sister's doing the vegetables, and my other sister's doing the cocktails. So by the end of the session, it's like you've had a bit of everything and everybody's had a hand in everything, and it's really special times.
Yes.
We just don't get to do it enough.
So it's not a regular, but it's occasional?
We try to do it at least once a month.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Has the dishes developed a little bit, being, you know, any Australian influence, or?
Yeah. It's very contemporary.
Okay.
Kind of a fusion.
Oh.
Because, you know, when I think traditional food as I know it, the staple in Zimbabwe is sadza, which is maize meal.
Oh, okay.
Very similar to your polenta, and we eat that as a very sort of thick porridge.
Yes.
And we eat that with vegetables and like leafy greens and meat. But that's traditional. So contemporary could be, you know, using other non-sort of traditional spices and herbs in there.
Throw in a bit of Australian steak or something.
Yeah, jazz it up.
Well, Koshani, thank you very much for coming to Northern Access TV studios.
Thank you so much for having me.
Today's edition of Migration Story. It's been wonderful finding out about your story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, kind viewers. Please tune in again next week.
Hi, I'm Bun Burgundy. I've travelled back to 1998 to show how the same year that brought us pain with this and torture with this also gave us hope with this. And unlike everything else from 20 years ago, shaving your head to help beat blood cancer hasn't gone out of fashion. You keep shaving, Australia.
MELfeed.video.
Inline Plus brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Inline Plus TV. On today's show, it is unbelievably huge The Adelaide Roller Derby girls are over here in Melbourne on their way to Derby Camp. They're going to have a So You Think You Can Dance off. Also too, Jenny Logue is down at Paran Skate Park just up the road. She's going to take us to the world of aggressive skating. And also too, Barrel House Bessie takes us to Glenelg Beach in Adelaide, skates around that mecca in Adelaide. It's a huge show, lot to get through. Let's get skating.
Howdy, it's Barrel House Bessie. We're skating down at Glenelg Beach in Adelaide today, and we've got the one and the only Hutto playing some tunes for everyone, enjoying his day on the beach. What's so great about Glenelg?
Apart from the fact that I was born here, the beaches. The beaches, the people, the sunshine, the palm trees, newly installed palm trees.
The roller skating?
The shops, the roller skating. The roller skating. There's roller skating everywhere. People
Hanging down Glenelg Beach on the rollerblades and skating around, bumping into these likely lads. What's going on, boys?
Oh, we're selling bandanas for canteen research.
Yeah?
And we are Mextex.
Yeah.
We are Mextex.
Oh, you're good lads. Does it feel good on the inside? To,
yeah, it feels great,
good.
man.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Don't get beaches like this just in any city in Australia. These are the Glenelg beaches on a near perfect day. It's great for skating. Skating on the beach in Glenelg doesn't get much easier than this. You step off the historic tram. It's a bit upgraded now, but you step off, you roll out, and you're right on the beach. It's a great day to be here in Glenelg. Nice, sunny, and you got a free ride.
We're bros for life, and we're going to stick together forever.
Yeah. Where's the best spot to be selling bandanas?
On the tram.
on the
The
beach.
bus road there's really good. Yeah, because not on the tram, because no one buys anything on the trams.
Yeah. And what is cool about hanging out on Glenelg Beach?
No school. No school.
Yeah,
It's not all about skating today in Glenelg. We got some pretty mean beach volleyball about to start up behind us. Want to have a look? So we're here on the very famous Glenelg Pier. It's a great place to skate because the surface is quite smooth. It's bitumen and it's nice, great to skate on. As you can see, people are all out here having a nice day in the sun, but we're gonna keep skating. So they're a little biased about some things on the Glenelg Pier. You can't skateboard, but it doesn't say anything about bicycles or roller skates.
What is cool about hanging out at Glenelg?
I think just the atmosphere and sitting just looking over the sea. It's just beautiful.
And all those rollerbladers whizzing by?
Oh, they're excellent to watch.
That's the spirit.
Definitely.
Skating in Glenelg, it's great. You've got these fantastic bitumen paths all up and down the beach. You can get so much practice in on any day of the week because it's never too crowded.
There's always just something to do down here, like whether it's playing beach volleyball or just hanging out with your friends or going to the beach house or cafes.
A lot of people come down here for obviously sports, like beach volleyball. See a lot of people rollerblading around here, skateboarding as well is pretty common. And yeah, really nice hangout.
So there you have it, the underdog of Australia when it comes to capital cities. Adelaide has a little gem like this, a beach that's perfect for all sports on wheels, perfect waters, great sunshine, and you can come down here anytime you want on the tram that runs straight here from the city. Thanks for watching us on Inline Plus, and we'll catch you next week.
Inline Plus TV with Barrel House Bessie and me. We like to go roller skating when it's sunny by the sea.
And now we're all going to take our skates off, head back to the nunnery and have a bit of a dance off.
Chin News. Hi, I'm Pan Burgundy. The Leukemia Foundation has given me the job of convincing you to sign up to the world's greatest shave. Now that's done, I thought I'd pop some bubble wrap.
The new website for Inline Plus TV is natsport.tv/Inline Plus.
Every minute.
Every hour.
Every mother and father.
Every sister and brother.
Every son and every daughter.
Everyone you see.
Everyone you cheer.
Everyone you watch. And everyone you hear.
Everyone you meet.
Everyone you know.
Everyone you love.
Everyone is affected.
Reach out and get connected.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetarc.org.
Inline Plus brought to you by Bayside Blades, Australia's inline skating specialist.
What? Is it on, Scooby? What?
Bessie, and we are here at the Melbourne Museum, downtown Melbourne, at 10 o'clock at night having a social skate with girls from Brisbane, Adelaide, Sydney, and Melbourne all together for the name of roller derby. It's a sight to see here tonight in Victoria. So, thanks for having us, Victoria. Yeah! Whoop, whoop, whoop.
This conversation going for a couple of months. We don't know what each other look like, and this is our first meeting. And this woman rocks. I love her, and I've never met her before, but
and this is the funniest like roller girl on the forum, man, with the craziest stories.
They're all true. That's what's true.
And then you put up your experience of roller skating. We're all like inadequate.
No, my God, no.
It's awesome because.
No
we
visuals,
didn't know,
no
we
visuals.
didn't know what each other looked like, and we talk on the forum. Yeah. So you kind of like bond with someone, not knowing their identity.
Months, and daily. Like I speak to Dole more than my husband. Serious.
I think I speak to you more than my husband. It's so good seeing so many girls together on skates.
Look at them. Powerful, beautiful women.
Yeah, I struggle with the fear. Feel the city through the hole in my shoes.
Now we're all going to take our skates off, head back to the nunnery and have a bit of a dance off, but that's for us to know and you to think about. Everyone's
Hey, now the cup's over, are there any tips for the dance-off?
Tips or tits?
Yeah, Vader and me, we're dancing, can't you see? On Inline Plus TV. Woohoo! Yeah, we're skating, her and me. Wow, you sure got the moves going.
It's all about the blocking. Don't touch what you can't afford.
Welcome back to the show. My name's Jenny and we're here at Prahran Skate Park. So we're going to go see what's going on around the park, talk to a few of the guys down here and see what they're up to. Hey Tom, how's it going?
Bad.
Alright, so what's good about Prahran Skate Park?
There's a lot of range, pretty much, and if you want to skate something, it's always there to skate. You can skate vert or mini.
So is this quite a variety of stuff to do here, like quite a varied skate park?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. That's why I like it.
And you come down here regularly?
Yeah, it's my local park, so.
All right, cool. Well, let's have a look, see what you got. You better land it. I'm here down at the skate park with Tom's dad. He's come down to check out what's going on. What do you think of the whole skate park thing for your son?
I think it's great. I've been coming for 3 years, and he's he's grown through the experience. He's made some great friends, and it's good wild play.
So it's a safe place for kids to come, and you'd recommend parents letting their kids come down to the skate park?
Yeah, I'd call it what you call dangerous safe. It looks worse than it is.
Excellent.
And they get a lot out of it.
So nice to see a good supportive parent getting into the skating. So let's go see what the other guys are up to. What advice would you give to some kids that maybe haven't been to the skate park before but want to come and have a go?
Basically just come down. Everyone's really positive and about having a good time. It's all about just having fun. Basically that's the main thing. So don't feel intimidated by anyone, because everyone here is really welcoming people. So
cool.
I'd just ask them to come on down and just have a good time.
And what's the best thing about skating?
Landing a trick. Nothing like it, really.
Just feels good?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what are you working on at the moment?
I'm working more on true topsoils.
Okay, what does that look like? Can you show us one?
Like on the ledge?
Yeah, on the ledge. And there we have it, first try, true topsoil. So there we have it, that's True Topsoil by Tom, first try. How does this skate park compare to other skate parks? Like, is this one of the best ones in Melbourne?
I would say, I'd say it's probably one of the best ones, in my opinion. I don't know, it's just really small, really compact. Everything's everyone can have a go at it, so...
Yeah. Cool, and is it quite central so everyone can get here?
Yeah, Prahran's a real central place, close to the city. Public transport's really easy, you got the 75 tram just over by the side.
So what's the environment like down here at the skate park? I mean, there's different sort of aged guys around. How does that all work out?
Well, I think what happens is that you get young kids and kids a couple of years older, they get good role models. Some of the older kids, as they step through, become mentors.
Yeah.
Tom's had a bit of one-to-one with people like Shane Yost, who's a world number 2 or 3.
So he sort of passes on stuff like how to fall safely,
absolutely.
how to use a skate park.
And you learn by watching, and you learn by kids giving him recommendations of different techniques. Try this, try that.
Go over the other side of the skate park and catch some more guys in action. So come on, keep up. You better run. Okay. Got it? You still with me? All right, Paul, come over. Get to know about this whole skate thing going on in Melbourne.
Just through meeting people and just through the skate shop and just having a look on different websites and that sort of thing.
So did you, is this your first time on Thursday night, or did you come here all the time?
I've been here a couple of Thursdays now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a good regular Thursday night.
And how does this skate park compare to ones you've skated over in WA?
It seems to be much more geared for bladers, so...
Yeah. And so there's quite a wide range of stuff to do?
Yeah, for all levels. You've got your beginners and pros.
This is a mini ramp behind us, so we'll let Paul get going and have a skate on that, and we'll check out what he's doing.
All right.
Friday night skating here in inner city Paran at the Paran Skate Park. So yeah, come down and we'll see you down here for a skate.
Okay, well that was Ep 3 and it was pretty good. Next week, Jo Gilbert, she's 72 years young and she's going to unload some wisdom on us. The roller derby girls go to derby camp and things get even more funky. And we check out the Torrens River in Adelaide. There's a heap more after that. Enjoy your skating. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye for now.
Inline Plus TV with Barrel House, monkeys and... You're loving your roller skating when it's sunny by the sea.
I love shave. Shavey, shave, shave. Here go the clippers. Down to my belly. What? We're on? You get shaving, Australia!
You're there when they can't sleep. You're there when they forget. But who's there when they're at school? Asthma can be serious. It affects 1 in 10 Australians and claims 400 lives each year. Does anyone at your school know what to do in an asthma emergency? Log on to asthmafriendlyschools.org.au and find out if your school is asthma friendly. Shouldn't every school be asthma friendly?
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
1 in 5 of us are affected.
10% of us will have at least one.
And the numbers double for Indigenous Australians.
Just as quick as a click of your fingers, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What would you do if someone close to you was having a seizure?
Imagine if it was your child.
My brother has it. My sister has it.
I have it.
I have it too.
You're not alone.
You're not different.
And you have a bright future ahead of you.
So click for kids!
I'm Amy Lee, and I'm part of it.
The new website for Inline Plus TV is natsport.tv/Inline Plus.
My name is Shane Yost. I've been skating for around about 14 years. I'm originally from Tasmania, but I live here in Melbourne now.
I'm just sitting here on this stool at the bar.
In the old days, I grew up in Launceston in Tasmania, notorious for all its hills and the you know, the crazy hilly environment that surrounds sort of the main town. So I pretty much lived at the top. So you know, every time we went for a skate, it was hill bombing all the way down to go to the skate park, and then a trudge all the way back up again to go home. It was a cool place to grow up in, even though there wasn't much to skate. When I was there, I mean, we had an 8-foot cement vert ramp that was like 12 foot wide. One of our favourite pastimes was jumping in the car at 3 o'clock in the morning and going to the highest hills we could find and just bombing all the way down, and then getting another car, skitching it the way back up top again, and then doing it again, and seeing how fast we could go and seeing if we could find a steeper hill than we just rode. So yeah, those were the days growing up in Tasmania.
Chin News. Hi, I'm Pan Ragandy. The Leukemia Foundation has given me the job of convincing you to sign up to the world's greatest shave. Now that's done, I thought I'd pop some bubble wrap.
What I love about Australia is the Adelaide Central Market. It's where I grew up, hanging out with Mum and great Auntie Kim. I see a lot of migrants buying ingredients that they need to cook dishes that remind them of their culture. And I think that's why food is such a powerful thing when it comes to people understanding each other. On Australia Day, I'm going to come to the market, buy some beautiful produce, take it home, crank out the pizza oven and have a little pool party with my mates.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
I always, just my passion was going upside down several hundreds of feet in the air, well, like I'd like to believe, and yeah, so vert for me, it was just a natural thing. That's why I sort of moved away from skating everything and just focused on one thing, so I could see how far I could take it, and it was just what I enjoyed the most. But when I first started travelling, there was a lot of Australians around, there was a lot of guys. I mean, 6 places of the top 10 in street or vert was taken up by Australians, which is just, I mean, that's just a phenomenal concept. But I mean, there was a lot of money in those days, you know, there was a lot of things going on, there was a lot more contests, there was a lot of things just happening. So there was a lot more opportunities. So, you know, there was a lot of chances for kids to get sponsored and go overseas. Nowadays, it's very difficult for kids to go over and qualify. Everything is based around turning pro through the ASA, you know, through the ASA ranks before you get any opportunities to be able to take it further. So for any aspiring kid or any guys that, you know, want to go to the next level, it's a very hard task because you've got to fund your airfares, accommodation, everything. Get yourself to America without the guarantee of actually turning pro in the first place. At the moment, it's very difficult because there's just not the money there. There's not the backing. So it's a tough time.
Getting kicked out of here, now I'm drowning in whiskey and beer.
These days, being a pro it's very different from the ideal that people seem to believe that a pro should be. Kids these days have these crazy notions of pros sitting around, smoking drugs, drinking alcohol, going to parties and just being rock stars. But honestly, if you want that kind of lifestyle, go and become a musician, because that's the only real place that you're going to be able to carry on like that. Our sport isn't strong enough and big enough anymore to be able to support that kind of craziness. And in some ways, that kind of attitude is what's led to our downfall. I've seen so many guys with so much crazy talent, like Jaron Grove and John Bergeron, that, you know, where are they today? They lasted all of, you know, 2 or 3 years where they just went nuts. And I mean, you can do it for a while, but in the end, it was the lifestyle that killed them. I'm still out up there doing what I'm doing. You know, I'm one of the last ones left one of the last professionals left in Australia that's still getting paid to ride, still getting paid to travel, still doing shows, still doing all these things, and it's because I've taken it seriously and because I've treated it as a business, and that's where you can go. I'm 28, I've been doing this for 14 years now. My job is a professional rollerblader, and it's because I've taken it seriously, and that's what you have to do. If that's the kind of job you want, that's the kind of career, that's what you need to do.
You said you were sorry in whiskey and beer.
You know, from my opinion, man, it's been an amazing journey. I've been able to do what I love as a professional. And I mean, I came from a little place in Launceston, Tasmania, in the middle of nowhere. And it's just because, you know, I liked it that much that I wanted to keep doing it and take it as far as I can. And it doesn't matter what you do or where you want to go, whatever profession it is, if you truly love it, just do it. Who cares? Like, stuff what anyone thinks about it. Just keep doing it, have fun with it, and see how far it can take you.
This ain't no wow no more. This ain't no wow no more. You're gonna have to step over my dead body before you walk out that door. Show me with your magic, landed looking tragic. Forever's the feather, you ain't got no more. This ain't no wow now, they all been put down. You ain't dead yet, fled to die closer to the shore. This ain't no wow no more. This ain't no wow no more. This ain't no wow no more. Loosened at the end of the night. Loosened at the end of the night. This ain't no wow now, they all been put down. You ain't dead, you fled to die closer to the shore. This ain't no wow now, they all been put down. You ain't dead, you fled to die closer to the shore. There ain't no wow now, they all been put down. There ain't no wow now, they all been put down. There ain't no wow now, 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 there ain't no wow now. Hello, baby. I love you.
Hi, Bon, I'm Burgundy. Up now sign at worldsgreatestshave.com. Shave and or your colour this hair March. Help to blood beat cancer. Shaving you Australia get. I think that went well.
MELfeed.video.
Hallelujah.
Welcome to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and today I'm speaking with 3 executive members of the JCMA, which is the Jewish Christian Muslim Association of Australia. And I'd like to welcome Rabbi Shamir Kaplan, David Schutz, and Samar Magarbal. We'd like to get a bit of a feeling of what is your association with the JCMA? Perhaps you might start that, Shamir.
Well, I started my association with JCMA with its primary and core activity, and original activity, which is the annual winter conference. And originally I was asked to help provide part of the Jewish content towards the theme. It's a residential theme-based conference. And then to help coordinate the Jewish component, and eventually to be in the general planning of that. And the various experiences I had through there in terms of the dialogues, the kind of respect, the frankness, the relationships, and I realized this was a healthy environment and an important one. I personally feel that any person of faith, but particularly any faith leader, has should create an opportunity, because they ultimately have a responsibility for being involved in interfaith engagement, particularly positive ones such as this. And so I even joined the board and have been involved in that capacity as well.
And you're vice president at the moment?
I am. I'm immediate past president, and I'll be vice president this year.
Thank you, Shamir. David,
Yes, I've been involved with JCMA since its beginning in 2003. The credit has to go to Rabbi Jonathan Kerem Black, who had experience of something similar in Europe and thought that it might be able to work here in Melbourne as well. And so we began with the residential conference in 2004. I think we all expected when we first went there that it'd be like any other conference we'd gone to, but what we weren't expecting is that as communities that normally live parallel lives in our community, this brought us in talking to each other, eating together, because it's residential, you don't go home at night, and any conversation you start in the evening you continue in the morning. It gives time for relationships to work out and develop from there. Over time we became to realize that we wanted more than just a once-a-year 4-day conference, and so we've organised other events such as a women's conference, a schools program, various other opportunities for us to come together and associate as well. So that's built up over the years quite a good network within the state.
So it's a very active association.
It is, and one that involves us beyond just the events that we hold.
Thank you. Samar, your association.
Yes, I heard about JCMA a few years ago through my work during Victoria Multicultural Commission, as I was part of the board as commissioner. So I was reading about JCMA work through the assessment of their applications, and got an interest on that. So I continue learning about them, and one day Di Hirsch, the board member, asked me if I would like to join the board. That I found it is a very good opportunity to actually join and learn about the Jewish community, which I never had the chance before. Born in Lebanon, and we had many friends from the Christian side, and I know lots about Christianity, but never had the chance to learn about Jewish. So I found it really good opportunity. It was a very respectful environment, and they might learn also about the women in Islam as well. That was important for me.
So the JCMA was a perfect vehicle for you to do that.
Definitely was the right place to actually be engaged with and learn about those different faiths.
And one of the core issues with the JCMA is that the 3 religions of the book. What's the significance of that, of being religions of the book?
The Jewish, Christian and Muslim religions are sometimes called that. The book, it's not a single book. We share a common tradition even though, for instance, Christians have additional books to the Jewish Bible, and the Quran is a separate tradition again, but connected. But because of the same historical tradition, it means that there are things that we can talk about that involve us as three communities that don't necessarily involve other religious groups. There's also a point of view that we have, a way of looking at the world that is similar. And it always fascinates me that whatever issue comes up, there will be close commonalities between at least two of the three of our groups. I think it is important. There is a separate group called the Council of Christians and Jews, which is about that special relationship. There are broader groups that involve multi-faith organizations, but there is something we have to talk about within each other. It's sort of family business.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to sit at the dinner table and sort out that family business with one another.
Yeah. I mean, family, I think, is a very healthy analogy, a very positive way and a very accurate way of describing it. I think there's a shared sense of common heritage, common history, common sources, common faith and theology.
Yes.
And but similar but not the same, and so that makes things more natural in a certain way.
Yes.
And also, I think, quite important to, particularly because of a common history which hasn't always been a positive one. I think that there's a certain need to address that. Having said that, I don't think JCMA is simply about dealing with and trying to improve on the negatives. It's not at all the flavor of our experiences and interactions, but just by virtue of us being together, sharing together, learning from each other, teaching one another, relating to each other, I think we're really making a positive future based on something substantive, something that's a real value to each of us. That strikes home for all of us.
Yes, yes. So you've got the same players. You have the same players on the stage, haven't you? When you mention the biblical characters, the characters of the Quran.
Yeah, of course. We believe in Islam. We believe that the Quran came as a third book, as a continuation of the first and second book. Yeah. And for true Muslims, they have to believe in all the prophets who came before Muhammad, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, all of those prophets, and it's very important to our Islam. So we have it's a continuation. We can't really say we are not part of that.
We'll pick up on that that continuation. We'll go for a break and we'll pick up this interesting conversation immediately.
There's no sacrifice, no sacrifice. It's no sacrifice at all. No sacrifice at all. No sacrifice at all.
Sport is for everyone.
No matter who you are or where you're from.
There's no place for discrimination in sport.
And everyone should feel welcome, safe,
respected and get a fair go.
Whether you're a player, a spectator, a coach or an official.
What do you want from your sport?
Are you ready to make a difference?
Sport is for everyone.
And everyone starts with you.
Keep your sport inclusive,
safe, fair and fun.
For more information, go to playbytherules.net.au.
Behind every great athlete, there is a great support network. Australian Athletes with a Disability and Wheelchair Sports Australia help athletes realise their full potential.
Gonna go from 3, yes!
No matter their ability, we're there to support them. Sporting opportunities for all abilities. For more information, visit sports.org.au.
Here is some brilliant news for adults who have difficulties with spelling, reading a newspaper or phone bill, or writing letters and emails. It can be easier to improve your reading and writing skills than to keep putting it off. Take the plunge. Call the Reading Writing Hotline, 1300 655 06.
1300 655 06.
It could change your life.
Welcome back to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and we're speaking to three executive members of the JCMA. In our last segment, Samar was speaking about the commonality of the three books. Perhaps I could ask you the question, what does your faith mean to you?
My faith, Islam is very important for me in many ways. Most important thing is my way of life, how I conduct my daily life, my prayers 5 times a day, also how I actually deal with other people. That's very important as well. As a Muslim, there is certain things sometimes you can't do. And being in open society here like that, we have to compromise sometimes how we see each other. So I always try to follow my Islam and my religion, and at the same time be within the wider community and the wider groups.
Yes.
And Islam, it's the most important thing in my life. So I don't know.
So it lays down that it's like your rule book.
It is everything. It is everything
yes.
for me.
Yes.
Dealing with the smallest thing in my life to the biggest things. Looking after my family, raising my children, how to be at work with other people as well. Honesty, very important. It's part of our practice. Helping other people as well. Helping not just Muslims. Everyone in need, of course. Anyone in needs me to help. It's something I love to do. So, and that's what Islam is as well. Helping each other to survive in this society.
Thank you, Samar.
You often get the impression, or a lot of people get the impression, that when we come together as different religious groups, we're involved in some sort of syncretism, trying to blend our faiths,
yes.
or some sort of relativism, where we're denying elements of our faith, and nothing could be further from it. It's the fact that, like for instance, myself as a Christian, my faith in Jesus Christ, in His Lordship in my life, the fact that that's a core part of who I am and goes to the depth of who I am. I bring that to my relationship with Samar and with Shamir and with my other Jewish and Muslim friends, and even with the other Christians who come along. It's very interesting that sometimes it's that relationship that can be the most difficult, the inner religious ones. Nevertheless, it is that it's precisely that we are people of faith that makes us, I think, to one another so attractive. We see the faith of the other, and we see that meets something in our own hearts.
Good. And Shamir?
Yes, I would concur in general with both of these guys. I would say faith for me is about, or religiosity, it's about several things. One is it's about trying to bring out the best of myself. For me, Judaism is about expecting the most of myself in every capacity, both of, as you said, in terms of interactions with others, in terms of my spiritual reality, in terms of my way of dealing with myself and my own personal expectations. I would also say that it allows, it's a language. I think of faith as a language for dealing with the richness, the complexity, the challenges of life, the opportunities. It's a language for translating our philosophies and our ideologies into our discourse and into our lifestyle. And in that way, I think it's a means and a vehicle for plugging into the past, helping me find a way of being connected to my heritage, my history, the world around me, and also it gives me a vision for where I want to go and what I want the future to look like. I mean, it's a means to much broader ends.
That's a very interesting perspective. You've got a situation where you've got these three religions, and you're addressing some of the common terms, but there are, of course, quite a lot of issues which do lead to some sort of discussion. What would be the formula? What would be the sort of principles that set around being successful in a pursuit like you're undertaking amongst those three religions? Would you, Shamir, perhaps you would?
Yeah, I based on my experiences with JCMA, for what it's worth, I think the success of that sort of comfort and that ability to speak frankly about matters that we might not see eye to eye on, but do it in a respectful environment and expect that it will be heard with sensitivity and even if not with agreement. And I think that is a difficult thing to achieve, and I reflect on why I feel that it exists here. I think it's, from my experience, it's been based on having shared interactions that are meaningful. I think part of the similarities of our faiths, the common origins and what have you, allows for us to really, in a deep way, explore themes, ideas, values, whether it's in our recent conferences about the environment or whether it's about how we relate to a secular society and matters such as that we're really able to explore in a meaningful way and learn from one another. And there's so much that we do share, and that creates that kind of trust. Yes. It's really fundamental, that sense of trust, that we can go there, and slowly with that increase in trust, the more we are able to just organically address what sometimes is the elephant in the room, whether it's politics or whatever it may be, and sort of take tentative steps towards discussing those issues and seeing that can also be a place for respectful dialogue. And to the extent that trust exists and that comfort exists, we continue.
That really starts to lay the seeds for this. We will need to go to a break. We'll now take a break and we'll return shortly.
What is this? Tastes like Zeus's armpit sweat. Ugh.
You teach us strangers are dangerous. But someone we know is a much more likely threat. You teach us strangers are dangerous. But who will help when you're not around? Create a world without unnecessary fear. Prepare, don't scare.
No one knows what to say.
I try and treat him the same as I always have.
He didn't want to give up. He just couldn't.
Caring for Catherine was tough, but when I look back, it was the best thing we ever did together.
It's hard to know how to talk about dying. These people know. If you need to know how, visit lifeanddeath.org.au and join the conversation.
Hot water storage tanks can be a breeding ground for Legionnaire's disease bacteria. You can catch Legionnaire's disease by inhaling small droplets of infected water during showers or other activities. To prevent this from happening, you should never reduce the temperature setting. Tank temperature should be left as set by your plumber. Or eliminate the problem completely with a tankless gas hot water system. For more information, visit healthyhotwater.com.au.
Welcome back to Harmony and Diversity. Norm Curry is my name, and today I'm speaking with 3 executive members of the JCMA. We've just been addressing the issue of how can 3 different religions flourish in an interface like the JCMA, and in your description of it, Shamir, it was clear that relationship is really the base of that. How does that relationship manifest itself? Is it ideological? Is it?
For me, the relationship manifests itself extremely practically. I mentioned before that our groups, our communities can exist in isolation from one another in our society. That is not so much the case now. Because of the relationships that JCMA has built up, there are a wide number of people in the Muslim community, in the Jewish community, and even a lot of people in the Christian community whom I now, if I have any issue I need to talk about, I can just pick up the phone and talk to them as I can talk to any other of my colleagues. Because we know each other, we've worked together, that groundwork has been laid. We don't have to wait until there is some issue that arises. We're having daily relationship with each other, conversations already. Even sometimes just organising a organisation like JCMA, having to be treasurer or secretary and to talk about the issues of just running the organisation. This means you're working together side by side on a common goal. Makes other things so much easier.
So our relationship is not just a working relationship. We have also built up a kind of friendship sort of things. So we talk to each other on work, but at the same time we check on our families, our kids, how we're doing for holidays now. As this is the talk, what are we going to do for the holiday? So it's not just a working relationship, and that's why it's the beauty of the JCMA. It's not just purely work. It's also some fun and some professional side as well. We're learning from each other a lot. So everyone bringing something to JCMA. So that's the beauty of it.
So if an event, and this would be a political event, occurs somewhere, you've actually oiled the wheels of communication. So that
I think it's I think JCMA operates on several levels. One is those who are associated with JCMA will have that natural network to be able to discuss those things, and even the notion that my impulse will be not to sort of address something on my own or with my fellow rabbis, but that to recognize, to have maybe a more global perspective on this and wonder, well, what are my cousins thinking in this regard? So that's one level. Also, I think when issues occur where there's a certain maybe a tension or some kind of misunderstanding that arises between the different members of different faiths, that because we have those relationships, we can sort of slot in and help talk through some of those misunderstandings, put people in contact with each other, because so often it's the lack of dialogue that leads to people building things in ways that are not productive, not healthy, and mistaken, actually.
Yes. Dialogue.
So hearing about something happening somewhere else is not the same as when you sit together and discuss it actually in a very professional manner. And just not bringing the old things coming from all generations, from one generation to another. So we are forgetting all of those things. We're putting ourselves now here in Melbourne and talking about our existing life. And leading any sort of issue in a very good mind. It's a very good mind. So we're not there to discuss it, to dispute about it. We are there to actually come out with some sort of good result and outcomes. And that's what we want for the future, of course. So maybe now it's a start, but somewhere later we might have very good results, hopefully.
Now you've successfully led me into my next question about the future. What would be your dream of how it would be with all of the religions, and I mean the main ones at this point,
Yes.
interfacing in a harmonious society?
Well, to me, it's part of it is a dream because of what's happening internationally. But at the same time, as Muslim, I think we learn this in our textbook, the Quran, that God created us as different groups and tribes and different languages, so we can overcome our differences. So we learn how to live with each other respectfully, and each one needs the other. So it's fighting is not anywhere in the Quran with anyone else. So that's the main thing. Maybe it's a dream now, but it exists in our book. And God said, you live together and overcome your differences, learn about each other, and live happily. So that's important. And hopefully it won't be a dream, because if we interrupt, translate all the textbooks, I think they mean the same at the end. But in the Quran, it's very, very obvious and very clear that we exist to actually live with each other in a very good way.
You have parallels.
Yes, in the Jewish and Christian Bibles is the story of the Tower of Babel, a very early story which lays the blame for our divisions largely on differences in language and culture and race. Then in the Christian scriptures there's the story of Pentecost, where God's Spirit uses precisely gifts of different languages to form a new unity. This isn't a blueprint for how things will be. We don't have a roadmap for where we're going.
Yes,
it is
course.
very largely still the Spirit of God that's leading us, and where the end of the journey is His business rather than ours. Nevertheless, it does open up the possibility of being a part of something.
Right.
I'd have to add to that I think whatever the ideal that your aspiration that we're working toward, the dream state that we'd like to see, I think we don't have a specific roadmap, but I'd have to say that would need to involve an aspiration that's based on respect, integrity, and trust.
And time, which we've run out of. You've been watching Harmony in Diversity, and we'll be back, and please join us next week.
Shanti Om Allahu
The thing I love about Australia is our spirit of mateship and togetherness, and whether it's a drought, a flood or a bushfire, when times are tough, Australians stick together. Well, I'll be spending Australia Day at Tamworth with 40,000 country music mates. It brings people together to celebrate our music and our great country.
Get together on Australia Day. Go to australiaday.org.au to find out how.
MELfeed.video. This program is proudly sponsored by Overload Poetry Inc., producers of the Melbourne Overload Poetry Festival, and by Westward Poetry, the Western Suburbs' premier poetry reading.
among the critics. He was found strangled by a pair of mature ladies' knickers. What's that I hear? A room full of Snickers? These days the knicker business in Forges is brisk. They're selling like hotcakes. Just cotton, not mixed. Every fat butt poet in Footscray is in the store buying. No one understands why so many critics are dying. So keep it in mind when a critic treats you rotten. Just buy knickers, not silk, but good basic cotton.
The folly that was. 'Twas his folly that silenced her in the end. She now tends the garden, pulls out weeds of regret and nurtures the seeds of hope she planted late summer. The iron gate leans to the side, hanging from rusty hinges. It invites the gardener to trespass. It, too, squeaks. The wooden bench by the old gum tree holds secrets. Sorrow resides in her weathered planks. 'Tis autumn in the garden. The leaves twinkle to the ground in hues tinged by the sun. They dress the earth like fine jewellery. The blue wrens dance prettily in the shade. The resident crow stands guard at his post, blissfully unaware of the folly that unfurls in the fields of yonder. 'Twill never pass the time of day when all weeds turn to daisies and push the roses aside, for the wind shall decide upon its eternal right when to breathe them into life and when to watch them fall to die. Thank you.
The ocean of your voice. Your voice washes over me like the waves in the ocean, sometimes trying to drown me out. Fades in and out like the tides, whips up like a storm at sea, harsh and unpredictable, crashing against my body. It can also sound coarse like sand and as bitter as salt, yet it can have some great depth to it. Your voice is soft and gentle, moves lightly over my body, immersing me fully. Thank you.
Well, steam has left my body. I am neither awake nor asleep. In answer to his question, I murmur, make me. The order of things, not always the same, fine-tunes need to necessity. Sugar, unlike coffee, stirs the process with clarity. No need to wake, to percolate, depends on the machinery. Moisture extracted from beans spent in the daily grind. He sips, imagines milk, frothing. He makes me like a cappuccino.
Thank you.
Someone painted a heart on a cold steel door. What were they thinking? Lost or stolen, one heart answers to the name of love, last seen on my sleeve. Heart-seeking companionship, like-minded souls, apply your heart here. See, the door has a handle. Open it. My heart, even yours, is a simple action away. Whatever the reason, they were thinking about love, and you who stopped to look. Thank you.
Now this one, next one's about Alex. One time at the Danny, he was telling me how we sit in a park and he was showing me pictures of magpies, so this poem came out of this, and it's called He Sits. He sits wearily on the wooden bench in the park, aimlessly watching two magpies at play. Slowly and deeply inhales the aroma of freshly cut grass, autumn leaves and damp earth. With each breath he can feel the weariness slowly disappearing, feeling relaxed, at peace, one with nature. He slowly unzips his case, takes out his camera, aims at the two magpies, takes a photo. Then at the trees and plants, capturing the beauty of nature. He leisurely gets up, walks unhurried out of the park, feeling rejuvenated. Thank you.
Elegant above the water level, black swans peck. inspect each other's desirability. Pulses beat in chests, the flowing instincts sift. Ugly goslings, now grown, seek out the curlicules, complex curly feathers, the most impressive traits for well-suited mating. The question mark in each swan neck courting, caught, submissive, beak to beak, makes one perfect heart.
I've been writing a series of relationship poems, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop. But I'm going to pick out a couple, and I apologise if anyone's heard these before, but they are sort of sequential. This first one's called You Are the Ink in My Words. You are the ink in my words, the smudge on my page. You are the pigment in my lipstick, the traces found on your nipple. You are the hot breath from my inner thighs, the waft that scents the room. You are the moisture that I thirst, the well that nourishes. You are the master of my desire, the intellect that satisfies. You are the arch in my back, the strain that accentuates my breasts. You are the secret of my dreams, the hush that midnight brings. You are the pleasure in my smiles, the touches I reminisce. You are the goosebumps in my tremors, the sensations that delight. You are the shivers up my spine, the lust that quenches. You are the wet petals in my garden, the fertiliser in my butterfly. You are the milk on my lips, the honey that sweetens. You are the remains of the day, the fruit ripened in the sun. Thank you.
Years ago, people started shaving their heads to beat blood cancer. Today, I'm showing you how much has been sacrificed for the Leukemia Foundation's world's greatest shave. Don't act like you're not impressed. You keep shaving, Australia.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children. So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
Every new line means 2 more hands. Join us, lions.org.au.
Show Me the Way creates the first social networking sites for Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete their schooling and continue to TAFE, university or vocational education. Show Me the Way connects students with e-mentors from corporate Australia. With secure online mentoring, Show Me the Way supports students to complete Year 12. To donate, visit showmetheway.org.au.
One day, a few years ago, I was watching television. It comes the ad break. I started, like a man, roving through the different channels and came upon a breaking news story that changed the world for all of us, I think. The next day, I sat there from around 10 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning, watching things unfold, and then I wrote this, and I didn't look at it again for a long time. I sent it to a friend. I believe it ended up on the net. I think it even got published a few times. And it's called Monstrous Games. Fear comes upon us in many ways, slips through our lives on muffled feet, strides through our nights in hobnailed boots, pounds on doors, creaks on stairs, scratches on windows, skulks in the shadows, shrills with silence on telephone lines, waylays our thoughts, plunders our courage, scatters our dreams, inhabits our nightmares, and infiltrates our imaginations. It is the monster under the bed or in the wardrobe, the boogeyman, dismissed with a sigh and self-conscious grin in the morning's friendly light. Fear and violence, how tantalising they are, our entertaining friends. We find them in books, blueprints for destruction, developed lovingly in excruciating detail. We seek them on the screen at home, larger than life in cinemas, or at our command in games of interactive virtual reality. We participate or watch, entranced. As mayhem and horror reign, creating vicarious thrills, shudders, and a tight clenching in the gut that invests us with a fleeting belief that we are in control, that reality ends with the flick of a switch. And so we go to sleep empowered, to dream of waking in that friendly morning light, giving real life another kick in the butt before moving on unharmed. Then life doesn't look so grim, and without a doubt, fantasy has prepared us to take on the monsters. When terror comes screaming out of the sky, disguised as everyday objects we use and trust, we can't end the game, there is no off switch. When massive buildings explode and shatter, scattering glass, steel and bodies across the landscape, when all-encompassing clouds of smoke bearing the dust and scent of destruction and death are riding like stormtroopers on the breeze, threatening to trample everything in their path, and when, through the dead, unblinking eyes of cameras, it is obvious that thousands are trapped without hope, with death their only means of escape, their final friend, we can't walk out of the cinema. There is no exit. When screaming voices, now silent in death, are caught forever on answering machines, radio waves, film and tape, carrying desperate messages to breaking hearts, we can turn down the sound. But the echoes rebound unsilenced in our heads. There is no volume control in the mind. When the fabric of normal life is ripped apart and the madness of movies and nightmares become entwined in our reality, we know that the monster has left the wardrobe, has escaped from under the safe confines of the bed to stalk our streets, to streak across our skies, en route for share our lives and appear as a friend, unseen, unknown, and free to strike the unsuspecting, the innocent, without warning. There are no rules. Or perhaps the rules were abandoned long ago and we simply repeat the errors of the past and face the reactions to our actions in the present, in the never-ending spiral of an endless game of revenge. Who is the hunter? Who is the prey? When the difference between monster and hero blurs, when meaning is more important than the cost of victory, when innocent and guilty are interchangeable and equally disposable, who picks up the pieces and folds the board? Who puts the monster back? When the end has come and the game is done, will we even recognise our monster? Or will we turn the impartial faces of our mirrors to the walls, afraid to see our own reflections, the awful knowledge of ourselves in the glass? Tell me, can you sleep peacefully, knowing our world and all who live in it are now part of the game?
This one I wrote before the start of the season of 2000, and it was late because of the Olympic Games. There was a long time between the two seasons. Come on, bounce the bloomin' ball, ump. I want to see the big men jump. Against each other they'll violently bump. As into the air they do spring, trying to knock the ball towards the wing, and hoping on it a rover will pounce, then put behind it his every ounce, trusting that way a forward will lead, needing one for the thrust to succeed. And if a teammate doesn't the ball mark, hopefully another one will at shark, and with an angle that's hard to define, he'll snap it from the boundary line, putting it through the middle for 6, but only 1 if it misses the big sticks. So come on, bounce the bloody ball, ump. I want to see them big men jump.
I just finished with a light one. It's called Put Out the Light. It's being in reference to Shakespeare's married couple, Othello and Desdemona. Tally, did you put out the light when I said, put out the light? No, Desi, I thought when you said, put out the light, that you would then put out the light. Why, Tally, would I tell you to put out the light and then put out the light? Desi, is this the night to be, you know, the night? What do you mean, Tally, when you say, is this night, Desi, to be, you know, the night? You know, Desi, what I mean when I say, Desi, is this night to be, you know, the night? If you put out the light, Tally, this could be, you know, the night. I will go down now, Desi, and put out the light. Make sure, Tally, you put out the cat when you put out the light. Yes, Desi, I will put out the cat when I put out the light. Tally, what was that noise? Have you put out the cat and put out the light? Yes, Desi, but when I put out the light, and when I stood on the cat after I put out the light, I then stood on the broom after I stood on the cat after I put out the light. So, Desi, the broom has now, you know, put out my light. So, not tonight now, Desi. Sorry. Good night.
Hi, I'm Bon Burgundy. This March commemorates 20 years of shaving to help the Leukemia Foundation beat blood cancer. To see how things have progressed, here's a look at the very first social media post. I swear it's true. You didn't need a password to log on. Just some sticky tape. Oh, Bon, stop it. You keep shaving, Australia. Sticky tape.
My name is Logan. I'm 12 years old and I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
It's always been my dream to represent Australia in the Olympics. Epilepsy affects nearly 250,000 Australians. Like me, most people have their seizures controlled with medication. Even today, people with epilepsy face incredible discrimination, but this prejudice is just another obstacle we can overcome. We're just as capable as anyone else, and often we have to be stronger. I promise I'll do my best for Australia. Will you do your best for me?
My name is Logan. I'm 12 years old and I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. My muscles are degenerating and I was put into a wheelchair 2 years ago. Soon I won't be able to move at all. The majority of people affected will not live past their 20s, including me. So we need your support to improve our quality of life until a cure is found.
In tonight's top story, Merlin's beard. Oh, anyone want Chewy?
Now, the next one is when a friend said, "I told you so." There's nothing worse when someone tells you, "I told you so," when you know that you've mucked up. So this is called the bed I sleep in, but it's not sexual, so just relax. Okay. Lonely is the road the bed is made. It's paved with knots of regret and weeds of shame. The moon dresses its traveller with fine jewellery, cracks of guilt glimmer in its glow. Terrains of heartache are traversed, deep ridges are forgotten, and first loves forsaken. Moss covers the eyes of fleshly desires, algae chokes the spirit, and pebbles fill the crevices of hearts, a weight to bear upon all souls. Against the arch of earth's horizon, doubts are soothed, fears trespassed, and hopes realised. It's a strain that transcends all pain. With a hushed cuss, the stones of yearning are kicked to the gutter with hands in pockets. The tinge of past grief remained discarded and lay broken down like an omnipresent existence. Lonely is the road the bed is made, bathed in silk sheets and feathered in comfort. It offers up its solace. The moon twinkles like toes with swaths of pearls draped delicately around her bosom. She moans a motherly urge as she wipes away tears, kisses hurts, and takes your hand there, alone, upon that lonely road. Thank you.
The words well up inside me until they are a sea. Do I say it now? And the monsters deep, deep down cannot swallow it all, and the words crash in waves and form currents and tides pulled by the moon. Do I say it now? I wait until it's calm and plunge in. But the words choke and pull me under. Do I say it now? I struggle against them, away from the monsters towards you. Say it. I stand on the edge of my mind, coughing on my words, and you are there. Say it now. And so am I. Yes, say it now. I love you. And I breathe again.
Another one on my bird theme that I've had a little bit lately. As gossamer. The black-faced cuckoo shrike floats. The arrow flecks of spine spikes the pivot chambers, vapour caves of the spectrum for hoisted fingers to follow. The pure genetic threads, taken breath, circle over the brow. The flutter ruffle of nether swallowed in the embraced flows smooth. Ascension crossed, a parachute descent tapestry is unblinked, in lowered, transparent lashes of joy. Our imaginations, needle beak sown, weave over the hills, uplifted, captured, in the stolen shutter moment of a downward flap.
In the growth of our newness together, all the world sizzling and red, blood red flowing, shaking the clocks for urgent sheets at night, and sunrise reddening dawn. She tossed me his robe in light peals of laughter, belonging, she said, to my size, so not discarded as normally one would expect. There was no relation in it, she assured me, with soft grey eyes to melt away the first sudden frost to puddles at her feet. No relation at all to fluttering the scented room with a conquest, or stamping the marked ground of us before the field was settled. If anything, she soothed to my ear in tinkling whispers, it could be taken and viewed as testament to yet another failure with another. Instead, in a spirit of trust and comfortable love, seen in its value, face to face, and presented to me as the gift from her to him. And she stood back and watched me, smiling from the heart of her, and I slipped it on, covering myself with his robe. And sunset flushed at the little windows, and we sat together, simply holding hands in gentle silence. And her tilted head found my shoulder and nestled to a place for belonging. Thank you very much.
And the last one also has a title, Seeking Love. Each heart seeking absolution from unworthiness sends rafts of love out on softly sighing breaths, trailing ink across paper, floating shadows along sight lines, posts talismans against loneliness, hoping the meaning will carry true from pen to eye, mouth to ear, heart to heart, knowing obstacles of misunderstanding occur only after the miracle of landfall. Thank you.
In tonight's top story, Merlin's beard. Oh, anyone want Chewy?
Every minute.
Every hour.
Every mother and father.
Every sister and brother.
Every son and every daughter.
Everyone you see.
Everyone you cheer.
Everyone you watch. And everyone you hear.
Everyone you meet.
Everyone you know.
Everyone you love.
Everyone is affected.
Reach out and get connected.
So, you think you're ready for this?
To take on the world? Why not?
MELfeed.video.
It was quite an interesting life. Matter of fact, I'd go back to it tomorrow.
Distinguished guests, Connies, Gunzels, ladies and gentlemen. This exhibition explores the world of Victoria's Trammy family, its culturally diverse Trammies, trams, and Victoria's rather eccentric tram tradition. This exhibition has been produced in collaboration with Gregor McCaskey, the enthusiastic staff at the Immigration Museum, and the Connie's Performance Troupe. Special thanks to Normie Maddox.
On you, Norm.
Hope he's here tonight. From the Melbourne Tramways Museum, a former Trammie and president of the Tramways Union, Warren Doubleday, and the crew at the Ballarat Tram Museum, Dennis O'Hoy, Darren Hutchinson, and Kim Smith, and the Trammies from the Bendigo Tramways. Special thanks also to the Melbourne Trammies, of which a number are present here this evening, and my old mates from the South Melbourne Depot, of whom I had a wonderful 10 years with, mostly spent on the bag. We thank Vic Health, who have sponsored this exhibition through their Arts for Health program. When you travel around through this exhibition, you'll see beautiful models of trams, a Bendigo Burnie, 658W class, cables, Zs and As. You'll see framed photos of the Melbourne Depot Harmonica Band from the 1930s and the first graduation class of women Connie conductresses from 1941. Hear a cheeky BBC radio interview of 5 Trammies and journey past books, badges and uniforms. Taste a little of the Melbourne-Calcutta Tram Jatra, Tramway's friendship, and explore the habits and ritual of the tram enthusiast Gunzel. We set out to produce a storyline that puts our tram world into context. The influence of Major General Sir Robert Risen, the Italian-born Union delegate from Essendon Depot, who led the campaign to save the Footscray-Moonee Ponds tram line. The Dutch-born delegate from South Melbourne, keen on Connies, the Trammie family. The exhibition celebrates Melbourne's 118 years of rare and continuous tram tradition, one of the 5 largest tram systems in the world, and the only true surviving tram system in all the English-speaking world. As they say in Calcutta, Zindabad, Zindabad, long may she live.
May we introduce Mr. R.J. Risson, Chairman of the Tramways Board.
Yes, nothing of course just happens, or if it does, it probably happens wrongly. A great deal of pre-planning is necessary. And in transport, and maybe other things too, the simpler and smoother a thing appears on the surface, the greater the amount of work probably put into it beforehand. My point is well illustrated by this map, showing the board's tram and bus services interweaving and crisscrossing over, some 200 square miles of metropolitan Melbourne. At present, the board has upwards of 4,500 employees, most of them, of course, in uniform, but quite a large number not in uniform, backing them up. And it could do with another 200 or 300 right now.
Just look at that, will you? Great monster. All they do is cause congestion and block up the road.
But surely it's the other way around, Mr. Johnson. It's you who's blocking the tram.
Oh, that's not the point, old man. The roads belong to cars. If I had my way, I'd get rid of trams altogether.
All right, we'll give your recommendation a try. Let's see. Yes, this should do. There, that's fine. Now let's take the tram out of the picture. It certainly leaves a nice wide space. Ah, but we forgot. That tram was carrying 90 passengers, Mr. Johnson. How do we get those 90 passengers to work, now that their tram is gone?
Simple, old man. Let them drive cars.
Thank you. Now, statistics show that each car driven to the city contains an average of 1 1/4 people. Now, 1 1/4 into 90, yes, that's about 70 cars.
Good heavens.
As you can see, these cars, even when they're jammed head to tail, take up 20 times more road space than the tram did. Multiply them by several thousand peak period tram trips a day, and you'd have 1/3 of a million additional cars on the road. There'd be such traffic chaos that none of us would ever get to work. Oh no, Mr. Johnson. Trams don't cause traffic congestion. They help to minimize it.
All right then. I was mistaken. You can't accommodate all the city's tram passengers and cars. Well, replace the trams with buses then.
Certainly. Buses coming up.
Hey, wait a minute. You've replaced that tram with more than one bus. You've got 2 1/3 buses.
I had to. A bus has a far smaller passenger carrying capacity than a tram. The Tramways Board is in the bus business, in a big way. But it confines its buses to areas of sparser population. Melbourne's densely populated areas need trams. In situations like these, trams are the motorist's best friend. They help keep the roads clear of traffic that would prevent you from driving at all. When it comes to moving large crowds, there's no vehicle more efficient than a tram. While cars are still struggling to get free of the parking area, the trams are off and away. Already they've cleared most of the crowd. But that's only part of the story. Trams are good citizens of Melbourne too. If you have a little time to spare, I'll show you some of the many ways in which trams contribute to the good life of Melbourne. First and most obviously, there's the transport service they provide. Whichever direction you want to go in the Melbourne area, there's a tram or bus to take you comfortably and safely.
Here we are at the Immigration Museum on Flinders Street in the city of Melbourne, and I'm here today to have a chat to a number of people who've been involved in the history of the tram world. And the first person we're going to speak to today is Fortunato Grosso, and he's been heavily involved with the tram since 1983. First question I have to ask you, Fortunato, is how did you become involved with the tramways? Can you tell us a little bit of that history?
I started as a conductor in 1993 at Melbourne Depot, and I'm still there working as a driver at the moment. I'm 65 and still working.
And can you tell us a little bit about life in the Melbourne Depot? What's it like?
It's like a family depot. It's everyone knows everyone. We try to help each other. It's a good between us, and everyone helps each other. What I can tell you that when I started working at Melbourne Depot, that was like a family job, really. Like I started there because my uncle was working there, my brother was working there, and so many people was like that. Now it's changing. It's not like before, but before was like a family job, really. Everyone knows everyone.
And now it's different?
Now it's different because it's not like before, really.
Welcome to the Immigration Museum. Folks, we have with us this afternoon Joyce Barry. Joyce was the first woman to drive trams in Melbourne back in 1975. So welcome, Joyce. Joyce, do you want to tell us what depots you worked at and when you started in the tramways as just the first port of call for us?
The first port of call was Brunswick Depot, and I was there for 18 and a half years.
Did you have a favourite tram line?
Yes, Brunswick to the city.
Brunswick to the city, Sydney Road. What shifts did you prefer doing? Just to give people a little bit of an insight into the depot life, the life of a trammy in that era. Were you an early shift woman, broken shift, lates?
Broken shifts mainly.
Uh-huh. And what was it sort of like? You'd be starting work 6:30, 7 o'clock?
Yes. Yes, about 7 o'clock you'd do broken shifts. You'd go off at 11 and come back on again about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Tell me, when you were a conductress, what was the biggest take that you used to have on a day?
How much did you collect, Joyce? And you saw decimal currency change as well.
How much do you think you would take on a busy shift?
Well, the record still stands in Brunswick.
Yes.
Yes.
It was taken by a girl doing a Sunday afternoon shift.
Sunday afternoon.
She took £408.
God, crikey, £408. Joyce, you were saying how some depots were very, in a sense, progressive towards women becoming tram drivers. Some depots were against it.
No, only Preston and Essendon were very much against us.
Yes.
In fact, they were downright rude.
Was there any reason for it that some depots were like that and others weren't?
Only because of the union delegates.
So it came down to the union delegates, you think? The character of those?
Yeah. For instance, Jimmy's the union delegate at Essendon then, and he put it around the depots that he wouldn't work behind a woman. She'd have to have balls before he'd work behind a woman.
Joyce, you started in the year of the Olympic Games, when the Olympic Games came to Melbourne.
Yes.
Any memories at all that stand out there?
My word, there are.
Any you want to share with us at all?
Well, some of them are funny.
Yes.
But I had a woman come up to me with a little boy, and he was distressed, and she said to me, please, quick, ooh. And it was the actions for somebody for the toilet.
Yes, okay.
And I just grabbed the little boy by the hand and ran across Swanson Street amongst the traffic, leaving Mum behind.
Go head on into the fast-paced world of roller sports.
Come on, keep up.
So tell us about your skating and your experience. Inline Plus introduces you to the world of roller sports in all its forms.
We are actually going to catch up with 4 members of the Australian team.
Very pleased to skate because the surface is quite smooth.
So get your skates on.
Inline Plus.
Wednesday, 8:30 on MELfeed.video.
If you choose to text while driving,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's, your family's, or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
They say there's a chance I could die from breast cancer.
Or from a melanoma.
I could die from heart disease or even from a brain hemorrhage.
Maybe in a car accident.
But the fact is, the biggest cause of death for women in my age group is suicide.
Please do not let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
You teach us strangers are dangerous. But someone we know is a much more likely threat. You teach us strangers are dangerous. But who will help when you're not around? Create a world without unnecessary fear. Prepare, don't scare.
Do you currently have a community service announcement on free-to-air television? If you do, you can now submit it to us as well via our website at MELfeed.video. We have lots of time to fill on these broadcasts, and we are sure to give your announcement a great run on MELfeed.video.
We've got Reg Dean with us here this afternoon. Now, Reg, we've got to knowing because Reg was a tramway worker on the Geelong tramways. In that period, you were how many years on the tramways?
Near enough to 10 years.
A great camaraderie in amongst the tramway workers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They didn't matter where you seen them. They always recognised you. Didn't matter how you were dressed or anything. We're like a brotherly system.
And Geelong, for instance, in Melbourne, where I've been a tramway worker there, and we had 8 different tram depots and quite an extensive system. Yeah. In Geelong, it was about a 20-kilometre system, 12 and a quarter miles is what we've been reading through. And in a sense, you had that one depot.
One depot.
How many trammies? Can you remember how many trammies you'd have?
At the peak period of the tramway workers, that's motormen conductors, was just about 80.
The trammies themselves, were there characteristic connies, anyone that used to sing or perhaps recite a bit of poetry or play an odd trick,
Oh, we had a few of those, yes. We had one fella, whenever he was in the depot having a meal break, he'd start up an argument just before he was due to go out, and he'd get 2 fellas arguing the point like hell, and he'd just get up and walk out and leave them arguing.
He's a nice bloke. What, flustering the crew, was he?
Yeah, that was a fellow by the name of Dick Lodge, no longer with us, of course, but yes. He was a character. And we had Eric Sweeten, who was a well-known fella on the trams.
Yes.
He swam all the year round, and he taught swimming at the Eastern Beach.
Yes.
And one of his tricks, what used to be, because the city depot for most trams was up at the corner of Ryrie and Moorabool Streets.
Yes.
Especially in the holiday season, he'd get out of the tram and he'd point up in the sky, and you'd see the people come out from underneath the verandas and all look up.
Yes.
But there was nothing there.
Right. Okay.
They did have conductresses on the Geelong tramways during the war, and as the fellas returned from the Army, Air Force or Navy, the conductresses were reduced in number and replaced by ex-servicemen.
Interesting. And the women that then had filled the spaces of the men on the Geelong tramways, like the Melbourne tramway story, then made room for a lot of the men that were returning?
That's correct, yes. I think when I'd been there about 2 years, 3 years, and there was 4 conductresses left out of approximately 25.
How much was a tram ride in Geelong? Did you have 1 section, 2 section tickets, etc.?
Yes, we had different sections. We had a penny section, a tuppenny section, a threepenny section, and then on the north we had a 4penny section. And later, of course, they increased. The penny section disappeared, became a tuppenny, then the threepenny became 4pence, and the 4pence became 5pence, and eventually became 6pence. Children were half price. We worked the whole system. You very seldom were on the same route from one day to the next. You might be on Belmont North today,
yep.
And you might be on West tomorrow, or you could be on East Jewel the next day. Then you could go to Eastern Park the following day.
Yes.
Some days you were on early shift, which we call day shift, which commenced, the first tram out was at 6:10 of the morning.
Yes.
To go to North Geelong. And we had one character on there that he knew we only had a £1 note in change, and every Monday morning he'd hand up a £10 note for his fare, which at that time was 4pence. So of course it doesn't take trammies long to get to know what goes on, so we put enough money in to make up a change for £10.
Yes.
And yes, Greg Clark was on it next Monday, and he's going to cop him, so he got the £10 worth of change in a brown paper bag,
yep.
Which was made up of shillings, sixpences, threepence, and a few pennies and a few halfpennies. and it was £10 less the 4p. So when he handed up the £10 note, I'm not sure it was Greg, but he'll do for the time being, he took the £10 note, handed him the brown paper bag, and he said, I think when you check that, he said, you'll find it's the correct change. Yes. He was still counting his change when he got to the North Terminus. He never tried it again.
Never tried it again.
Yeah, well, we did get a petition up, of which 16,000 signatures, but the council, the SEC, Ford Motor Company, Bender's Busways and the Shell Company didn't want anything to do with tramways.
So you're up against some pretty strong forces there.
Melbourne is a bit odd like Calcutta, I think. So we come to celebrate and discover our oddness together. Calcutta and Melbourne, interestingly, are two great rare tramway survivors. And so in that respect, Melbourne would be the last in the English-speaking world, and Calcutta definitely the last in the subcontinent. And out of, let's say, the Asian cities, your Kuala Lumpurs, your Bangkoks, your Jakartas, that once had tramway systems, and of course Bombay, Madras, Karachi, and other grand Indian cities, Calcutta's the last one. We have similar stock in that when we drive these older version trams, the wooden trams in Melbourne, we share something with Calcutta as well. We have old British designed, in a sense, controller trams where we turn a wheel and ding ding, you've got sort of air brake system and a manual controller thing. We share that distinctly between ourselves.
So the project has involved the tramway workers very closely as a part of the whole of the project. And we work with the conductors, the drivers, tram mistri, breakdown, PWD, overhead electrical, jamadars, inspectors. All of the people that are involved with the CTC are involved in the Tram Wuchta, in the festival. As an example, Mr. Khan drove the Tram Jatra tram.
Hugh, what was it about the tram that intrigued you suddenly? What was it that clicked that whole interest?
I think basically because it was a fixed track, so therefore you always knew where a tram went because you could see the tram lines and the overhead wires heading off into the distance, and I think that's what started to fascinate me, that these trams went somewhere, and that sort of brought the interest up. And also too, at that stage Sydney was getting rid of its trams, so that basically as I was growing up, every 6 months a major section of the tramway network would close.
Now Ray, Gunzels is a theme that we've covered in the exhibition upstairs. You're an enthusiast yourself?
Yes. I'm more interested in the history of trams, the past history that I would like to find out more about. That's why I kept 4 scrapbooks, and that's like I've given you some photocopies from them.
A lot of your material's actually in that current exhibition because you've been sending me books from the Tramway Board, etc., Tramway Union magazines. So, you know, you've been an avid collector of anything that's been written up in the newspaper over the years, re-tramways?
Yes, I've also got 73 old Union magazines, starting from 1964, which I intend to give away, and probably some of them to you. Because there's no actually museum here, is there? There's no real...
This is one of the battles that we have at the moment. We're actually trying to get a museum up and running so we can house all of these great collections.
Do you like trams?
I do like tram, and because one thing, like I like driving, and this thing you drive, it's not like a car or buses that you have a steering wheel, but this one got no steering wheel. And so, you know, you either drive it, the old tram, they drive with hand, and the new tram, you drive with feet. And so your hand, you got to just only play, you know, on a button, pressing the gong and the door switch.
In San Francisco, they've got a line there that not just the cable cars, but they've got a line there. They've got 5 lines that have got the latest modern light rail vehicles on them. They've also got a line they've just built, a brand new line called the F line that operates heritage cars, not unlike our W's. In fact, one of our W's is running on that system now.
So it actually fits the gauge?
Oh, absolutely. And I was driving it in November.
Tell us some of the feedback you've had from people, international travellers maybe, or even local people, just about the idea of a tourism tram or the city circle trams.
Well, not just the tourism tram or city circle tram, but trams in themselves. Most of them say, what a wonderful transport system you've got. What an excellent transport system, and so cheap compared to other forms, and they are amazed.
On the whole, multiculturalism has been a success on the trams. We seem to have developed our own successful form of Australian multicultural English, and the cultural diversity is definitely a part of the boisterous life of the workforce. This is called A Few Bones Got Buried Last Night. Vietnamese were dancing with Nigerian, Chilean with Indonesian, Maori with Sri Lankan, Scots with Fijian. South Melbourne Depot were on the dance floor. A farewell dinner for those taking the package, their parting gifts, model trams made of wood, appropriate for the W, and made in Melbourne as the W class were, the Cadillacs of the tram world. The presentation was short and jocular whilst the crowd partied on, an unsettlemental lot on the whole. This is an occupation with a high turnover, accidents frequent, humour black and cynical, where a long-term employee is regarded as a curious fossil. A high-stress job, dealing often with difficult passengers with no training but the sink or swim. No dealing with personal problems, but a lot of good times, laughing and joking with your mates. Because of the 6-day working weeks, ever-changing shift work and some with unhappy lives, more time is spent with your workmates than with your family. The depot was more family than family, a fractious family, which knows how to party and forget for a while the disputes between management and staff, Gunzel and grunge, smokers and non-smokers, between people themselves, for the tramways foster strong personalities. A few bones got buried as they partied on, surprising who was dancing with whom. When armistice was announced on the Eastern Front in the First World War, German soldiers danced with Russia. Last night, half of the nations of the world were dancing, Irish with English, Dutch with German, Indian with Italian, Malaysian with Greek, Filipino with El Salvadoran, Russian with Australian born, on and on, into the night, with no regard that the first tram was running out at 6:41.
Years ago, people started shaving their heads to beat blood cancer. Today, I'm showing you how much has been sacrificed for the Leukemia Foundation's world's greatest shave. Don't act like you're not impressed. You keep shaving, Australia.
Hi, I'm Lane Beachley. Australians have recycled enough printer cartridges to cover Bondi Beach 12 times. That's kept 11,000 tonnes of valuable resources out of landfill. Drop your used original cartridges into the special boxes at participating retail outlets, and they'll be turned into new products, from pens to road surfaces. Help us keep up the good work. Find out more at cartridges.planetar.org.
It's easy for things to go wrong around water. More so if you can't swim.
It's great seeing kids confident in the water and enjoying themselves. An important part of keeping kids safer around water is learning to swim.
There are over 600 registered swimming schools that run the Australian Unity Learn to Swim program. To find one, go to the Swim Australia website.
MELfeed.video.
Welcome to the CEC Report for the 2nd of March 2018. I'm Elisa Barwick, and joining me today is CEC leader Craig Isherwood. Welcome, Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Elisa.
And on today's show, APRA lies when grilled in Senate on bail-in powers, and government MP breaks ranks on economy, warns a crash is coming. So firstly, APRA lies when grilled in Senate on bail-in powers. So Craig, this week, the issue of the APRA bail-in bill, as we've reported about regularly on the show, and it's otherwise known as the Financial Sector Legislation Amendment, which gives crisis resolution powers to APRA if there's a financial crisis. That means APRA will be able to step in and run the bank secretly and confiscate certain types of holdings in the bank to refund the bank. And what we've made clear all along through this campaign is that it was not excluding deposits. Yeah. So we ran a big campaign on that and we made significant progress, but the bill did pass and it is now legislation. However, the passage of that legislation has backfired massively, and the reaction to our campaign since this bill went through has been rather extraordinary. We've had a great explosion in our social media presence. We had a 1,000% increase the next day to our website traffic. And we've also seen a number of other various prominent economists and authorities using our material, citing our material and warning of the dangers of this now that this bill has passed. So some of them came a bit late to the game, unfortunately, but nevertheless, the government's going to have a big backlash to deal with now. And I'll just mention a few of the reactions that we've seen. We had Martin North of Digital Finance Analytics, who extensively reviewed the new law in a video titled, "In a Banking Crisis, Are Bank Deposits Safe?" We had Philip Seuss of LF Economics and Professor of Economics Steve Keen, who's at a university in the UK now, but an Australian. Both tweeted reactions to Dr. Wilson Tsai's intervention. He was the former APRA researcher who had a lot to say about the dangers of this legislation and about the CEC mobilisation. There was John Guian of Knowledge Source, who wrote an article, "Bad News, Your Money in the Bank, Gonski in 60 seconds." And they actually linked to our campaign and our website at the end of that article. And another one, interesting one that just came in, I think it was yesterday, there was a tweet that was put out by Bank Reform Now. They posted about this bill. This is a banking reform grassroots movement. And someone reacted to that post by saying, what are these folks on about? 7 is not enough to vote on anything, and did you guys abstain? And they posted the pictures, we'll put it up on the screen, of the 7 senators who were there when the bill passed. And obviously their question was, how can you get a bill passed on just 7 senators in the House? And they said, remember these faces, remember the names, because they are the 7 senators present out of 76 that have allowed the criminal banks to steal your money in case of a global financial crisis through bail-in laws.
This is a real scandal, Lisa, because people didn't realise that legislation can just be pushed through the Parliament with only 7 senators in the chamber in this case, right? So this thing was just basically rubber stamped, and this is what really has got a lot of people worried. Is how could this be the case? And so these are the people that were in the chamber at the time, and but just I want to say that there was a process underway here that one of the One Nation Party was going to put up an amendment. They had an undertaking from the government at that time, the Liberal Party government, that was checking out the amendment, and this bill was pushed through as that process was undertaken. Yes. And that amendment was to exclude deposits from this bill. Yep. So the government pushed it through anyway. So that shows you just how much of an intention there is for bail-in powers to be included in this law. That amendment would have said simply that this Act shall not include a power to write off or convert deposits. That's correct. So you have to ask the question, why did the government ram it through in such a way when they had told One Nation that they were going to process that amendment? The intention all along is to have bail-in powers. Mm-hmm. And this is why we use the title APRA Lies When Grilled. It's because that is their intention. Their intention is to take deposits. They have to have this power to save their system. Now, not save deposits, their system. Exactly. Now, the problem is you've got bankers that were on the Economics Legislation Committee that looked at this, and Peter Wish-Wilson will put the tweet back up because he responded to this thing about the 7 senators saying,
Not sure exactly what they're on, but certainly not this planet. And he's referring to us. He said, I think they are called the CEC, Citizens Electoral Council. Now, of course, he well knows who we are. But the other factor here is that he's a banker. Senator Jane Hume, who you're about to see in the video clip that we're about to play, is also a banker, because what we'll show now, this is a clip in the Senate Estimates Committee of Senator Pauline Hanson raising the bail-in legislation to Wayne Byers, the head of APRA. And first of all, in this first clip, she raises the financial claims scheme and whether it is real or not.
In the last session of Parliament, the Financial Sector Legislation Amendment, that's the Crisis Resolution Powers and Other Measures Bill 2017 provisions, was passed.
Yes.
According to the report on this bill by the Senate Economics Legislation Committee, this Parliament understands that bank deposits are protected by the Financial Claims Scheme, the FCS.
Yes.
I note the Senate Economics Legislation Committee report states, and I quote, the FCS provides protection to deposits held in financial institutions and to policies with general insurers in the event that a financial institution fails. The FCS will be activated by the Australian Government when an institution fails, and once activated, will be administered by APRA. The question, which many voters are very worried about, is, and I am anxious to have verified by APRA, is, are bank deposits currently protected by the FCS? That is the financial claims scheme currently activated?
Sorry, is it currently
activated?
Well, it's not currently activated in the sense that it's only activated when a bank fails, but if it is activated, so if a bank fails and the government activates the scheme, then depositors in ADIs up to the amount of $250,000 are protected.
So it is. So basically,
so
then
the
you're saying
legislation
it
is there. It's available.
Activated.
If the circumstances arise that a bank fails, the mechanisms are there for it to work. The government, in a sense, switches it on, and we go through the process then of making sure that depositors, as I said, up to the limit of $250,000 per ADI, get their money.
You're protecting it.
APRA has
the bank accounts are
undertaken
protected.
a lot of work over the last couple of years around implementation of the financial claims scheme, working with industry to put in place prudential standards around reporting and reporting to us and reporting to the Reserve Bank on the amounts that are protected, and also running trial runs of the provision of information to the Reserve Bank to test that when the FCS is activated, that banks will be able to actually, and APRA and the RBA will actually be able to effectively get money to depositors within the timeframes that are specified.
And just as a follow-up, sorry, Senator Hanson, you're absolutely right. There was some considerable concern from a particular group called the Citizens Electoral Council, who actually are a political party. But I understand that APRA submitted to that inquiry, that particular legislation inquiry, and testified to that extent. And so did the RBA, and so did ASIC, and they said that those powers are not at all a threat to depositors' funds.
As I said in my opening statement, our core purpose set out in the Banking Act is protect depositors. And the FCS is there to make sure that particularly retail depositors, but depositors with amounts up to $250,000 are not at risk of losing their money should a bank fail.
So that's guaranteed by the government. It's definitely there, so there's no problems with that guarantee.
That's right. The way it works is that if needed, there's an appropriation that exists that can be drawn on to give depositors their money, and then there's a mechanism by which that cost is spread over the rest of the industry and recouped from the rest of the ADI sector. So it's not a cost to the taxpayer, and it's certainly there to protect the depositors.
All right, Craig, we'll take that apart after the break.
If a man's home is his castle, his shed is his kingdom. It's a place men can hang out with a few mates, build a few things, even if you haven't before, and give back to the community. No man should be without a shed. The Australian Men's Shed Association is working to provide a shed for all Australian men, and they have over 400 already. Visit your local shed, build your community, and make a difference. Find a shed near you. It's time to give back.
Hot water storage tanks can be a breeding ground for Legionnaire's disease bacteria. You can catch Legionnaire's disease by inhaling small droplets of infected water during showers or other activities. To prevent this from happening, you should never reduce the temperature setting. Tank temperature should be left as set by your plumber. Or eliminate the problem completely with a tankless gas hot water system. For more information, visit healthyhotwater.com.au.
I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 20.
So we just saw this clip, Craig, of Senator Pauline Hanson quizzing Wayne Byers.
7.
I was 46.
I was 62.
The first symptom I noticed
was loss of balance.
Was that I was always tired.
Was a loss of smell.
The most difficult thing for me is not to be able to travel in my retirement.
The most difficult thing for me was giving up a career that I loved.
The hardest thing for my mum was being pregnant with me.
So we just saw this clip, Craig, of Senator Pauline Hanson quizzing Wayne Byers, the APRA chairman, about the financial claims scheme and whether it's, really good for what they say it's good for. Now, one of the main lies that Wayne Byers tells there is he keeps saying again and again, our primary focus is protecting depositors. Our core purpose is to protect depositors, but that's not exactly the truth, is it?
No, let's go back and look at the legislation and you'll find it there's another role there, and it's what they call protecting the financial stability of the system.
Yep.
So, i.e. protect the banks first. They're worried about the financial stability, and that's what the entire International Financial Stability Board is about, protecting that financial stability. But also, Senator Jane Hume yesterday put out, or on the 1st of March, put out a circular saying that they've just changed the definition of prudential matters. Now, this is APRA we're talking about, the Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority, to say prudential matters is being changed to include the words to protect the interests of depositors of any ADI. Not to protect deposits, but to protect the interests of deposits. The big difference. So when we went to push through or try to get this amendment through to protect deposits, didn't go through, right? No. So the important thing is that Dr. Wilson Tsai, who worked as the chief researcher for APRA for many years, he made that point.
Yep.
They're concerned first and foremost for stability of the system, financial stability of the system.
And he pointed out in the new legislation that it gives APRA the ability to choose one over the other. Like it used to be equally deposits and financial stability, but now in complete secrecy they can prioritise one above the other.
Yeah.
So
that's the key thing. And look, it's the other thing about the $20 billion per bank. The financial claim scheme is going to be able to fund all of this, put the actual so-called deposits that are so-called covered from all the big four banks. It's $1.6 trillion. There's no way that our budget's going to cover that, any mechanism is going to cover that. It is all smoke and mirrors. We've said this for many, many years. It's all designed to give the illusion that somehow we're covered. It's not designed to work at all.
No, they don't have the money for it. Now, the other point that Byers makes there is that he says, he keeps saying that basically when a bank fails, then the financial claim scheme will be activated. Okay, fair enough. However, the whole point of bail-in legislation is to stop a bank from failing. So you don't get to that point. So you wouldn't even be having the opportunity to activate the financial claims scheme because you've already decided the bank is failing or about to fail, and that's the standard, and then you'd be doing your bail-in before you even get to the point of the actual bank failure where the financial claims scheme could be activated. So it's, as you said, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yep. It's all lies. It's all designed to protect the banking system. If they were serious, that amendment would have gone through, deposits would have been protected. We would have had Glass-Steagall, actually, because that's the real solution here. Separate out the entire speculative and investment banking system that we have now from the necessary commercial, protect deposits, and we won't have this discussion. We don't need to have this discussion.
Now we'll show another clip from that same hearing where Pauline asks about bail-in, and just note that she means Cyprus, not Crete.
I've had a lot of concerns from people getting in touch with my office, and they're actually really concerned. It's under the Crisis Resolution Powers and Other Measures Act, which empowers APRA to make determinations in secrecy to access private depositors' accounts in time of financial crisis to meet monetary demands. Would APRA state categorically the Act does not grant APRA that power?
Well, I'm a bit unsure of the specific Act. I don't know whether any of my colleagues have an answer. Clearly, under that power, under that whole arrangement when you have a bank failure, part of the information we need is who are the depositors, what are their accounts, how much money have they got, so that we can exercise the financial claims scheme to get them the money. So if it's information about depositors, it's essential we have that information so that we make sure the payments go to the right people who are eligible to receive them for the right amounts.
What I'm, we've got past, guarantee the depositors there up to $250,000. What I'm saying is, in reverse now, if there's a crisis in this country, can depositors' monies be taken from them?
So in the Banking Act, so essentially if you're less than $250,000, the financial claims scheme kicks in, you get your money. For all depositors, be they individual people, be they businesses, large corporates who have more than $250,000, the next thing the Banking Act says is depositors have priority over the assets of the bank over everybody else. So other creditors of the bank.
My question
So they're first in the queue.
In a crisis in this country, can you enact to actually take the money out of depositors' accounts, as happened in Crete in Greece?
No, we don't. We do not have the power. We do not have the power to bail in, is the sort of common language term, depositors' money.
Senator Hanson, I think that question has been asked and answered numerous times, and we might move on. Senator Ketter.
So, there's a lot of technical details here, Craig, but for new viewers, call us and we'll send you a complimentary copy of our Australian Alert Service, because this is our weekly publication where we document exactly all the details and we lay it out. So we don't have time to do that all today. No. But let's just take up one point where obviously what Pauline Hanson was ultimately trying to get at is, can deposits be confiscated via bail-in? And you saw him utter the word bail-in quite hesitantly there at one point. But ultimately he's saying no, so he's lying, because what we made very clear is that the wording of this legislation allows APRA to change the definition of other instruments that could be bailed in. And the amendment that One Nation was going to put forward, which was blocked, and they rushed it through and they got it passed with 7 senators, was to specify that it would have ruled out that wording, it would have ruled out that opening for such a change to take place.
Yeah, I think that's the key here, at least. This is, again, coming back to, they want to protect their system, to hell with depositors. The fact that this has not been excluded, right?
Yeah.
Right now things are relatively calm compared to a full-blown financial crisis.
Yes.
When a full-blown financial crisis happens, you've got banks crashing and all sorts of things, right? They can look at that legislation and say, well, is there anything that stops us from having bail-in? No.
That's right.
Because it hasn't been excluded.
Exactly.
And that's the key here.
We've got to have another quick break, but we're going to talk about that coming financial crash after this.
Every time you shop, the choices you make affect our community. It is important to select Australian products made by Aussie-owned companies. Our food security means quality and peace of mind. Your purchasing power keeps your dollars multiplying in our economy, keeping jobs, profits and decisions being made right here, which is better for your children.
So the next time you buy, look for the AusBuy logo. It makes all the difference.
1 in 5 of us are affected.
10% of us will have at least one.
And the numbers double for Indigenous Australians.
Just as quick as a click of your fingers, it can happen to anyone at any time.
What would you do if someone close to you was having a seizure?
Imagine if it was your child.
My brother has it. My sister has it.
I have it.
I have it too.
You're not alone.
You're not different.
And you have a bright future ahead of you.
So click for kids.
I'm Amy Lee, and I'm part of it.
Hello. I'd like you to put your hand up to the screen
and place it on mine. Now, if you drive when you've been taking drugs and you kill someone, this will be as close as you get to your family for a very long time.
Welcome back to the CEC Report. Government MP breaks ranks on economy, warns a crash is coming. So there were a number of other very interesting things that came up in these hearings. Among them, it really drew out actually APRA's complicity in creating the financial bubble we're now facing, in particular in regard to the big debate about the liar loans and lax lending standards that is going to be made a major issue in the Royal Commission. And Wayne Byres didn't really want to go there on that. He was, feigning ignorance on everything. But one person who did raise the real issue in Parliament this week, which was very good, was Tim Wilson, the Liberal member for Goldstein. So he made a speech in Parliament on Tuesday, which when you see the footage, you'll see there was almost no one there again. But he spoke about the warnings of John Adams, who was a former economic advisor to Abbott and Turnbull governments, where he just this last month has updated his quite infamous warning about an economic Armageddon coming. So he made that originally a year ago. He's just updated it. And I just want to roll the clip showing Tim Wilson's summary of that.
This Parliament must confront the serious economic risks on our horizon and the structural imbalances in our economy. The warning signs are all there. We have alarming rates of public and private debt, low interest rates, inflated asset prices and excessive public spending. As economist John Adams argued, Australian household debt has never been higher. Now at nearly 200% as a proportion of disposable income, household savings have slumped, the US share market is now in a bigger bubble than 1929, risky derivatives are now being sold in significant quantities and global debt is $80 trillion more than it was in 2008. Australia is completely exposed to global economic shocks. Many households are now inadvertently exposed to international markets and foreign policy makers. Last year, 12 Australian banks, 6 major Canadian banks and China's sovereign debt were downgraded by Moody's Investor Service. In addition, S&P has downgraded 23 small to medium Australian financial institutions at the risk of falling property prices. Debt has gone from an advanced economy problem to a global problem. There are a number of warning signs that we need to wake up to. First, we have record low interest rates, and Australia has its lowest official rates on record, with the Reserve Bank of Australia's cash rate sitting at 1.5%. From April 1990 to September 2008, the average RBA cash rate was 6.29%. The long-term cash rate average since the last recession is around 5.2%. In response to the low rates, Australians have borrowed strongly and are heavily leveraged. Second, we have overvalued housing assets, and the expansion of cheap credit by the RBA has been thrust into the housing prices over the last 25 years. Credit to housing as a proportion of Australia's GDP has risen from 21.07% in 1991 to 95.33% last year. Over the same period, credit which has been indirected at the business sector or to other personal expenses remained relatively stable as a proportion of GDP. The influence of American quantitative easing has been particularly disastrous. As Rupert Murdoch said in his 2014 speech to G20 finance ministers, quantitative easing has increased the price of assets such as stocks and real estate, and that has helped first and foremost those who already have assets. Quantitative easing has shamefully amounted to direct wealth transfer from the young and working to the established and well-off. Third, we have record Australian household debt. As RBA Governor Philip Lowe stated last year, that a continuing source of uncertainty is the outlook for household consumption as a consequence of household debt. Unsurprisingly, households with mortgages are most likely to be over-indebted, particularly those with investment property finance. The average household mortgage debt-to-income ratio has risen from around 120% in 2012 to 140% at the end of 2017. Interest-only loans have skyrocketed over recent years. By early 2017, 40% of the debt did not require principal repayments, though we need to acknowledge regulators have made an effort to address this. This isn't just a property investor's problem either, it also of course includes owner-occupiers. The RBA puts Australia's household debt as a proportion of disposable income at a record of almost 200%. Household debt is at a record high and now surpasses the level of the 1880s and the 1920s, the two periods which preceded the two great economic depressions experienced in Australian history. Fourth, record Australian net foreign debt sitting at just shy of $1 trillion, or more than 56% of GDP. As a country, that leaves us dangerously exposed, particularly against a global backdrop of huge amounts of debt across the United States and China. Speaker, in short, things are hotting up. Things are hotting up. The reality is our current policy settings are not adequate to deal with the economic downturn that may come. William White, the chair of the Economic and Development Review Committee of the OECD, wrote recently in the Financial Times that continuing on the current monetary path is ineffective and increasingly dangerous, but any reversal also creates huge risks.
So, you know, it's rare for our politicians to hear that in Parliament, not that it'll probably get much publicity, but unfortunately from there he went on to talk about solutions which were not correct because, you know, he was taking it from the neoliberal framework that we currently have. So he talked about austerity and such like. But Craig, what are the real solutions if we want to deal with what he just mapped out?
Well, Lisa, look, we've been talking about this a lot on the show and new viewers may not be aware of it, but first of all we have to deal with all this APRA stuff. And we've actually created legislation for that. We're in the process of finalising it. We'll talk more about this on the show in the next couple of weeks. But we are going to be dealing with APRA because it's a criminal organisation and it needs to be reined in. That's the first thing. But we need to go with Glass-Steagall. That is separate out the legitimate necessary banking system from the speculative investment banking system. We need Glass-Steagall, break up the banks. We need a national bank. That is a bank that acts on the interests of creating large amounts of credit for large-scale infrastructure development projects to stimulate the economy. And through stimulating the physical economy, we put large numbers of people back to work. We've said a lot about this on our program. People should go to our website and see more about this. Otherwise, if they want more information or want to talk to someone about this, call our 1-800 number. Call and get a copy of the alert service. But more important, people need to be involved.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't change things.
You've got to put pressure on your MP, so give them a ring about this. So thanks for tuning in and join us again next week.
If you choose to drink then drive,
you could ruin lives.
Someone else's,
your family's,
or your own.
Choose not to instead.
The right choice could save someone's life.
Proud supporters of safety in our community.
GMCU and Southern Cross Austereo.
RSPCA, for all creatures, great and small.
MELfeed.video.
Here's our interview with our voiceover artist, Darren McErlain. Hi, this is MELfeed.video. We're actually in Penrith, New South Wales at the moment with Darren McErlain, who is one of our voiceover artists who's helping us with some voice work on MELfeed. So you'll probably hear him, and you might even see him from time to time. We're talking about that, aren't we? So we might even see you occasionally.
Absolutely. I'm very, very excited about being part of this brand new project called MELfeed.video, and I guess I'm very honoured to be able to maybe use my voice to piece things together. I think that's going to be very exciting, and I guess it's going to be great to piece some of that vision together, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity to piece some of those historical pieces of online TV as well. So it's certainly a great opportunity for you and for me as well.
Yeah, so the purpose of MELfeed is to go back into some of the archives of some of the new and old, some of the new stuff, but some of the old stuff that community TV has produced, especially Northern Access Television and Metro TV, which we'll be doing some stuff with. So it should work out pretty well.
I think it's a very exciting project because I think as time goes on, some of these fantastic productions can get forgotten about, and I think it's really important that we archive those, we keep showing those things, and I think the greatest part about streaming TV is that people can relax and watch all the videos unfold as they take place, which is fantastic.
So what is some of the stuff that you've been up to with your voice work over the years?
Well, I'm very honoured that MELfeed are out here in Penrith. This is, I guess, my hometown. This is the home of great 80s music where Air FM, I guess, broadcasts. I do the drive time show here from 3 to 6, and I'm very excited about that. So I guess it's a great way to connect with the listeners, and I guess I've been... you've been able to hear my voice and see some of my things on YouTube, and I guess there's a bit of a history there with television and radio and theatre perhaps, but I'm more than honoured to be part of MELfeed.video at this stage.
So you're currently on a local open narrowcast station in the Penrith area, that's correct?
Absolutely. Here Air FM it broadcasts on 88.0 FM in Penrith, and I guess we mainly focus on the 80s music, and I guess I do the drive time show. So yes, we've got the 80s music, but we've also got, we do the traffic and the weather, and more importantly, which is something I'm very excited about, is that we actually stream online on tunein.com, which is very exciting.
So you can find Air FM through the TuneIn app, so if you search, what is it, Air FM, you'll find it on the app?
Absolutely. Air FM on the TuneIn app. Just look for, I guess, the coloured logo for Air FM here in Penrith, which you can see the great backdrop of Penrith just behind me, and we broadcast 24/7 on, I guess, on 88.0, and you can also find us on tunein.com. Very exciting.
Yeah, so just look for the test pattern logo.
That's the one. It's the rainbow coloured one. That's exactly right. Fantastic.
Colour bars, I think it is. That's the technical term, isn't it?
That's the colour bars. I like that one. I'm gonna work with that this afternoon. The colour bars. I like it.
Yeah. So you're also a primary school teacher in the local area as well?
Absolutely. I've been working here in the area of South Penrith for 14 years, and I guess I bring primary teaching and journalism and voiceover acting all together in some format, so here in Penrith. So I'm very, very honoured that I'll be able to do a lot of these voiceovers for MELfeed here from Penrith. Very excited about that one.
So some of your talents have rubbed off on the kids too, apparently, you're telling us.
I hope that I bring some sort of inspiration in some way, and I guess they certainly, I don't always tell them what I do, but they go searching on YouTube and listening on the radio, and they have a listen to some of the great things that I do. So that's always nice of them to do that.
So they're getting introduced to some of the 80s music themselves, are they?
I think when they start playing them at discos, it's already a fact of, oh, that's something I've listened to on Air FM, which is very exciting. It's something they've heard before.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us anyway, and we'll look forward to working together in the future with this great project as it gets going.
Fantastic, Michael. I'm really honoured to be part of MELfeed.video, and more importantly, thank you for coming out to Penrith today. I'm very excited about that.
Okay, and possibly we might try and do some footage around Sydney while we're here. Obviously we're here in October, but we'll be broadcasting on this channel from November, so we'll see if we can do some little bits from around Sydney and a few different places.
Fantastic. Our viewers can join us and see lots of the great work that Michael does as well, which is fantastic.
Okay. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks very much for having me. We'll see you soon.
They say there's a chance I could die in a car crash, maybe even from heart disease, maybe even skin cancer.
I could die in a work-related accident, or I could die in a fight.
The fact is, the biggest cause of death for men in my age group is suicide.
Please don't let this happen to me.
You can do something. Lifeline believes that suicide is mostly preventable. Help us save lives. Find out what you can do at lifeline.org.au.
MELfeed Video is about to close operations for tonight, but we'll be back with you next Wednesday evening. In the meantime, here is a selection of programs that will be seen on our next scheduled web stream. You are welcome to visit our website at MELfeed.video for further details of this project. Until next time, from all of us at MELfeed Video, we wish you a very good night.